Vince, how's it going, man?
Hey buddy, how you been?
Living the dream. I'm not too bad. I'm actually not too bad. I had like a couple of the most solid weeks I've had in a long time. Work finally receded a little bit, um, and then the validation, the vindication of Soul Blight for my vicariously experiencing tournament play through one of my best
Sure,
friends.
sure.
Thank you so much. Um, and of course, I won't talk sports ball with you, but sports ball thing happened. I'm super happy about that. So it's just been like a really good. Had just family days with my friends. Just a great little time. Um, do you want
Well, I'm glad to
to
hear it.
sort of set up what's going on this for the donation, like your constraints, uh, because you have some limits
Well,
on.
donate during this hour or 2 hour block. Sorry, it's 2 hours,
Mhm.
and you can and we'll pick a winner to. I will paint a model for you. I don't really like. I mean, it has to be like reasonable. Like I'm not painting a Warlord Titan or something nonsense like that. But I'll be fine with most anything from like the AOS range or whatever.
Okay.
If you wanted to give me a big dragon to paint, that's fine. Just know that I'm going to spend the same amount of hours on what, like, there is X amount of hours I will spend on this project. And if it's a small project, that means that you get that X amount of hours over a much, like a lot more quality. If you hand me a very big project, I'm not changing the hours. You're just going to change the quality. So there you go. Because I have a lot of stuff to paint. I'm painting right now. So I am going to be looking down a lot, but I am here. I am present. I just am in the middle of a big project this weekend, trying to get an army painted. And so there you go. But I'm here. And I'm excited to be here, Meph.
I really appreciate you taking time from all the stuff you got going on to be here and to help out with this and donate your time and obviously twice now, future time.
Forever, man. I got your back forever. That's not a question. That's always going to be the case. You just say the word, and I'm here, brother. That's what we do. That's what we do in this community. That's why it's amazing. People are here to help each other out all the time.
All right.
It is truly the great thing about the AOS community is that through feast and famine and whatever else goes on, everybody's always here for each other. It is truly a wonderful, magical place, and I mean that. Zero sarcasm.
All right. So CSV generated, number rolled.
Was this who won last?
Yep.
Uh-oh, big times. Who will it be? We all wait on bated breath. I assume you're all doing a drum roll
Amy
out there.
Amy donated for the. I'm not gonna out her, but Amy Z ended up winning that off a $50 donation.
Nice.
So
Congratulations, Amy Z, for winning last hour's prize. That's awesome. I want to see all the donations this hour, folks. I'm excited to paint whatever you give me. It was fun last year. What did I paint last year? What did people give me?
last
I don't even
year,
remember.
I can't remember what you painted. Like last year didn't like force you to paint a bunch of stuff for like it was just the like sort of impromptu thing, wasn't it?
Oh
Some
well, yeah, but I gave away a something painted. I don't remember what it was. Huh.
I You did a video and everything.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, such is life. I paint like a lot, so I don't always remember everything I paint.
Mangler Squig, Squiglord. That's what they're saying.
Oh, it was the Squig Lord. That's what it was. Yeah, it wasn't the Mangler guy. It was the littler dude, the loon boss on Cape Squig or whatever. Yes, that was what it was. You're absolutely right. Thank you. That guy was real fun.
You go ahead
What
and
I like about stuff like this is that I get to paint something I wouldn't normally paint. That makes sense?
yeah. See
Like,
if
I was never going to paint one of those goblin dudes.
right,
Like, it just wouldn't happen. But
right.
this was a good chance to do it.
Well, I mean,
It was
were
a lot of
I
fun.
were I a less ethical man, I would under a pseudonym, Rister Phefisto or something like
Mm-hmm.
that,
Sure, sure, sure,
donate
sure.
and try to get you to paint a Radiker the Based.
I'd love to paint Radicar. That'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah, yeah, what a great model! Like, or honestly, any of the vampire lords, they have so much personality and pretty outrageous. Here, getting my ducks back in a row.
Arrange said ducks, my friend. That's fine. So it's great. I look forward to seeing what somebody makes me paint this year. It should be fun. I'm hoping it's something interesting that's in an army that I don't play. But I've always thought that'd be neat to paint. That was very much the case with Goblin on Squig. I've always thought goblins were fun, but I'm not a goblin player.
Goblins, like, Gloomspite gets, like, pretty much everything they released in that range. Like, the new stuff, like, the new Fanatics, the Boingy Boys, like, all that stuff is just, I think, objectively, they're excellent sculpts.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yeah,
objectively excellent. But there's just something, like, I have this mental block that holds me back from, like, playing them. You know, I don't quite go up to the line. But Vince, I was weak, man. When they released the Swamp Orcs, like, I think Destruction finally got me. It was specifically that Vulture. Like, that Vulture was like, I'm like, like, that's the one.
Pretty amazing.
That's the one I'm finally buying. Like, I will finally buy a Destruction model. That's the one.
Well, first off, good. Somehow I became a Destruction player. I don't know when it happened, but it did, as I realized I have every army except Goblin.
It's the Timmy. It's the inner Timmy.
It's absolutely the inner Timmy, yes. The only reason I don't have Goblins is because Goblins are just bad Skaven. Sorry, Goblin players. Who one of the most preeminent of which I know is in the chat right now.
Oh my,
Hello.
shots fired.
But yeah, Goblins are just bad Skaven. I don't know what to tell you. That's all you are. That, like, they have, like, it's all the same kind of wackiness and randomness for fun and prizes. You know, spin the wheel for prizes. But Skaven do it in a more interesting way. So there you go.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's the flavor or whatever. I suppose that would be, like, where you'd round on, like, which one you play, right? Like, just which one's personality speaks a little bit more towards you. Just
Absolutely.
a little bit, so.
Yep. But, like, you know, you go all the way back to old fantasy battles, and there was a lot of, like, overlap in the kinds of mechanics and tricks and just the general personality of the army you would see.
Right.
And I already picked my pony, and it's Skaven. So
right.
There you go.
Well, so Skaven's one of those armies I consider them one of my vicarious armies. You know, I know that I'm the Nagash guy, but I have this thing where I actually like the villains of the things I like. I think that, like, great villains make the protagonist better and vice versa. You know,
Sure.
You know, how awesome is something is limited by how awesome the thing it's conflicting with. And so in a weird way, like, I've always kind of I tend to like the thing that's like opposed to what I enjoy. It's just a narrative crux, I suppose, of who I am. So I've always really liked Skaven. You know, I always had pet rats. I didn't name them after death characters. I named them after Skaven.
Sure.
You know, I had a pet named Icket Claw. I actually have his picture right here. There he is. There's Icket Claw. Note that he's on the floor because he was like a puppy dog. In that you could just you just let him roam the house. He would come when you called him and everything. His name was Sir Icketclaw. I knighted him and just go Icket, and he'd come running over. He'd play hide and seek with you. If you threw a blanket on the floor, he'd run in there and you tuck your little face under there, and he'd come up and nib your nose, and then he'd go hide, and you have to find where he is in the blanket and put your head under. So he's really great, one of the most intelligent pets I've ever had. Yeah, so I always had pet Skaven, basically, but I never played them. Going back to Warhammer Fantasy Battle, it was I owned their, I guess then it was their army book and everything. I just never went all the way. And I remember in the Warhammer Fantasy Battle days, you know, Black Library was probably around when I started playing, but I didn't really read a ton of Black Library stuff, and certainly all the really good stuff hadn't come out yet. And I remember the way you kind of gained a holistic understanding of the setting was by reading all the little War Scroll entries and the little cards that came at the back of the battle tomes. So I had to know more of the undead lore. I had to go and buy the Skaven battle tome and read all their little stuff, or army book, because they had because there's this whole crossover with Nagash and Warpstone was a huge narrative arc, and so to know any stuff you'd be reading about Nagash's Black Hand, and it would reference some other thing, and it was just a really cool way to sort of gradually osmose the lore of Warhammer Fantasy Battle. That's it's one of those you can never go home again. Like we can never really go back to that. We're too thirsty for like knowing everything at all times, right? The
I've always
Wikipedia era.
believed that. Sure, I've always believed that the one of the most powerful things you can do in a game narrative is not answer things,
Yes.
which I think 40K is like a living example of, because there's all these, they set up like a million mysteries and don't answer any of them.
Mhm.
And then it gets people to make the thing their personality,
Yes.
which is what they ultimately want. Like GW's expansion into other forms of media, what it really is it's trying to further expand the lifestyle that is these games, right? Because they want people to identify with the things, to make it their personality. That like, this thing is me,
Right.
right? That we all identify with this brand as a thing of ourselves. And I'm part of many 40K Facebook groups, and I can say that that mission has already largely been successful. All you have to do is post something that is one direction in the lore or another, and then the other haters of that will show up immediately and start posting their own little memes and whatever, right? Like, people make this their whole personality.
I don't know what you're talking about.
No idea.
No idea
No, I
what
mean,
you're
it's fine. Look, love what you love. I get it. I'm just like, I love Skaven. I love Slaanesh. I very much do. But I've never once like gotten a meme war with anybody over any of either of these armies. I don't care that much about it. Like, I got stuff going on here.
I think that's actually very indicative of like nerd culture in general. Like there's a very parasocial element to nerdery.
100%.
Like the whole like shtick of nerd culture is getting you to invest in the brand, the army, the whatever it is, to a point where you feel like it is a part of your life in a meaningful way. Like I perform like
I think your parasocial comment's exactly correct.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's exactly what it is, right? Like, you feel like you're part of this thing, but this thing doesn't know anything about you or care about you.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. No, I think part of the fun is getting a little too invested, but you got to have safety rails on. Like you simply must. And at the end of the day, it's reminding yourself that like it is just a game. It is. I know, like if you want to like trigger me when I'm in the moment, you tell me it's just a game after I'm angry about a game. But when I engage my higher brain functions, like to remind myself it's just a game, or to remind myself that it's not personal. Like if they kill off, I guess they pseudo did. Nagash he's on vacation right now, right?
Well, he can't die, so that's a nice advantage.
Right, and he's the god of death,
but
so
he can get his body knocked out from under him, which is what happens. So now he's got to go heal up.
Yeah, and he usually comes back more powerful because he's kind of like a Super Saiyan, right? Like the death energies infuse him with superpowers.
I just watched my way through the entire Team 4-star whatever cell games this last weekend.
Yeah.
And
wait, Vince Venturella confirmed weeb?
No, I mean, I hate Dragon Ball Z like with a passion. I find it to be absolutely intolerable. But I appreciate their take on the cell games. Like, I know who Perfect Cell is, right?
Yeah.
Like, I'm not unaware of these things just because I don't like the media. But there's one. What got us onto it was I was describing Fist of the North Star to somebody.
Love Fist of the North Star.
I mean, it's terrible.
Oh, but that's the thing is like I love it the way you love a Mystery Science Theater episode. Like
yes.
I love it the way I love like Big Trouble in Little China. Well, no, script wise, Big Trouble in Little China is the perfect script, but like the film might not be.
So it got me onto watching the one where he fights Ken from Fist of the North Star, and Ken makes him explode over and over again, and it's very funny. but like, and I do love that. But like the way that they take it in that whole abridged series, right? And like their whole DBZ abridged or Helsing abridged or whatever they've done several of them, or in the cell games and stuff like that. The way that they take it is the correct way you're supposed to take this stuff, in my mind, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, they're fans of it. They have to be to actually to make jokes that accurately.
Yeah,
you have to actually put in the time and be a fan of it.
Yeah, you got to know the media. You got to know what you're making fun of or whatever. Yeah.
Right. But they don't take it so seriously that it's like that they cannot handle making fun of it at the same time. Like, they realize it's just a,
Yeah.
it's just it's a show,
Mm-hmm.
right? To me, that's the right way to take things. Like, I love this game. I love all the characters and stuff that are in there. I've never read the fiction ever, because I find all Warhammer fiction to be boring.
Yeah, I'm an English lit major, and I try not I try to live firmly by the don't yuck people's yum, which is why every time the subject of like Black Library stuff comes up, I'm just like, yeah, I don't really read it. It's so much
Right.
easier to say I don't read it than to like have to like go in depth on why I don't read it, and you like I actually like was spoiled from being able to read things for just the pure popcorn enjoyment of it, the way that like a films student gets spoiled from watching films for like I've done that with writing, and I can turn my brain off during certain stuff, and I'm trying to like re-enjoy things again. But you go to school for 4 years to like be told that every plot is identical in everything. Like there are 7 basic plots in all of literature and 3 in all of film, and these are them, and here's how you identify them. It ruins it. And when something's as like rote as sort of like mass fiction tends to be, it's really
Sure.
difficult, you know.
Yeah,
But
and by the by, just real quick to get this out there, because I do want to make sure we're all on the same page here. This is not in any way a judgment on these authors, many of whom are absolutely fantastic writers
yeah, yeah.
who are doing a great job. It's
Or
just
the
the
people who
subject
enjoy,
matter.
or the people who enjoy the stuff, like
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Like, if you like it, hey, cool, knock yourself out. I'm saying, to me, it just doesn't it just doesn't appeal. Mainly because of the subject matter. Like, I don't, even as we've transitioned into the mortal realms, which I'm thrilled about. Um,
goes back to that not explaining everything, which is
yeah, yeah,
also a
it's
good
great.
tactic in writing. Like in general, you're never supposed to
100%.
explain everything. Never.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, hey, I just want to say a shout out to Bleep Bloop. Speaking of death players, Meph, have you seen Bleep Bloop's army?
No, no, no.
Bleep Bloop has the best. Bill is his name. He has the best looking death army in the country. So Bill's army is, I would say, based on everything I've ever seen, Bill's army is one of the top 3 best armies in the country.
Immediately followed on Twitter. I'll check this out. Um,
It's beautiful,
good,
beautiful. You'll love it.
good.
It's truly amazing. Everybody should go follow Bleep Bloop on Twitter. It's easy to find him because it's just Bleep Bloop, so it's not
Yeah.
that hard.
Also, a man of taste with underscores in the name.
There you go.
Respect the hustle. No, I don't really read like Black Library because when I have time to sit down to read something, like I'm usually not reading like something I kind of already know the gist of and the plot of and it's
Right, right, right. Yeah, I get you.
like I
Absolutely.
usually go to read something more substantive or the things that I actually read a lot. I do read a fair bit of horror fiction because I like the good horror fiction knows how to like is the art of subversion. Even if they know the rules of subversion so well, they're usually subverting people who know the rules of subversion really well, right? It's very subversive format. It's comedy and horror are like the 2 most subversive formats around, and
Yep.
horror tends to have a better payoff in terms of fiction because comedy fiction is just like ha 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 that was funny. So, but like I'm usually or I'm reading like stupid philosophy or you know I don't know. I don't know when this happened to me. I don't know when I got boring. I used to read a lot more fun stuff.
It's called getting old, Meth. That's what happens.
Like start reading reading a lot more nonfiction or
You're going to
like
be reading about World War II soon, so congratulations.
what was that?
I said you're going to be reading about World War II soon.
Yeah, yeah, books about war.
The inevitable the inevitable transition there.
Yeah.
No, like it's just the fiction's ever appealed to me. The story appeals to me,
Hmm.
right? And I know you'll know what I mean there. Like
Yeah.
the difference between the story and the plot,
Right.
right? Like, I'm not that interested in the plot of Warhammer in general.
The broad strokes is fantastic.
I
Like
am
the
very interested in the story of
yeah.
Warhammer.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So, because I find especially the new world that we have all created, that they have created here, that we've all kind of created together. Let's be honest, like by participating in things like
Yep.
Firestorm and stuff like that, and there's been a lot of community involvement, frankly, throughout, especially the early days of AOS.
Hmm.
I find that to be a very compelling world because, as we've talked about before on this show, I believe it's just Planescape, and Planescape is awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, no, 100%. Just seeing all the Slanesh offers their sacred number. Tyrant donated $6. Thank you so much.
Cool. Yes, I know you have to donate a minimum of 5 to be qualified. I would like everybody in this hour to donate $6. Like if you were going to donate 5, please donate 6 at least instead. Multiples of 6. So $6, $12, something like that. I would like all donations in multiples of 6 this year this hour.
I mean, that's just it's just perfect. So let's just read a couple donations. Here we go. Shankleton's awesome rewards, but would want to pledge anyways. Looking forward to tuning in. Thank you so much. Yeehaw
Nice.
and salutations from Texas, says Germ. Texas showing up in a big way today with the donations, by the way.
No, they always do.
All them oil barons, baby.
That's what it is. Yes. That's how it is in Texas, right? Everybody's just
everyone's an oil baron. That's
backyard.
how it is. Yeah. Yeah, so Martin Orlando dropping $15 saying, would love for Vince to paint a Lumineth hero or unit champion in my exact scheme so I can learn how to paint my own army better. Very.
Martin, if you win, I'll paint a Lumineth thing for you. You pick the thing.
Dark Elf Sorceress, great showing so far. Everyone is super generous. $5 from Dark Elf Sorceress.
Very nice.
Doc King, I'm ready to get that Valkia painted, Vince. $5 from Doc King.
I mean, I would be sad that you would be giving me a very bad resin fig to paint, but I would happily paint Valkia. Valkia is like the coolest thing going on in Khorne. They should just build a whole, like if they ever expanded Khorne, their first expansion of Khorne at the launch of AOS was kind of the most rote, boring way to go about it.
Mm-hmm.
If they expanded Khorne, what I would want to see is like a whole like female Furies thing under Valkia. Like that would be a great expansion for Khorne. Like, just take that concept and blow it way out.
Right.
I've got to imagine that in the Mortal Realms, plenty of women have plenty of reason to get very angry. So why not give in to the god of rage? So there you
go. Greg Deekhouse of Sigmar and Sons. If I win, I won't make Vince paint Nurgle. Nice pledge.
Very nice.
He donated a dice tray that's in the AM sometime. Comes with the Mega
That's
Gargant.
fantastic.
So.
Those are beautiful. Those trays are gorgeous, man. He's doing an awesome job with those.
When I financially recover from shipping all these prizes, I'm probably ordering the Nagash one.
Sure.
Lexolopoulos saying Rantathon. I agree. Kyle Knapp, minimum pants, maximum fun. Just got time to try and win a painted Belladama. Ooh, spicy. I like it. Big fan. Paint Vince Paint, says Ty. Osmo, Dr. Osmo to you, saying Vince calling Brendan an outlier. Comment of the stream.
Yep.
Sir Flukes a lot. Thank you so much for the $100. Tyrant Mania.
Look at that, Flukes just being a hero.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah. And I only see one $6 donation so far. Y'all call yourselves Slanesh fans? Come on.
You can see them $6 roll in. $6 or get out. Let's see. But I feel like it would have been funny if this was the Slanesh Army prize block. Don't worry, there's still plenty of chances to honor the Dark Princess. And then People says, dare I ask Vince what you're painting? It's a secret.
Ooh, secret painting.
Otherwise, I would normally happily share, but it's a secret.
Kyle adding $1 to his donation for Vince getting to 6. Dan Caravan, 4 Chaos, 6.66. Love it.
There it is.
Metal. Hell yeah.
There
What's
it
up?
is.
What's up, Lulubell? Oh, yeah. So I got to do this thing where I drink Pepsi-Milk. So there are milestones as you're like donating throughout the stream, and we've already shattered a bunch of the early ones.
Are you on to your Pepsi-Milk one already?
Yeah, I'm on to Pepsi-Milk. You don't have Pepsi and milk handy, do you, Vince?
I don't drink soda and I don't drink milk.
That makes sense. Very svelte. Like, Vince, not only does he sculpt models, he sculpts bodies.
I'm very particular about things.
Where were
But
we?
yes, I'm excited to watch you drink it.
Oh man, this is brutal. So we've already for our milestones, we've already hit the purple mohawk, which obviously is going to happen after the stream. I want you to know that I love my hair, everyone in the audience. It's one of my top 5 favorite features of myself, and uh, it's this is gonna hurt me a lot more than it's gonna hurt you because I have to get rid of this, like, maybe not the awesome fade, but the pomp I rock, like inspired by Redline, the greatest anime that isn't Cowboy Bebop. Uh,
I don't think you'd have to. You could just tease it up.
Tease it, yeah, yeah, maybe, but
Yeah, exactly.
yeah,
You just gotta tease it up.
yeah, tease it up. But I'll bring it up
Yeah,
to like a proper
right.
mohawk,
You
so
would
that
just have like a forward, like the little forward hawk.
oh, so the
That's it.
Pampa hawk, like
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
look
Nothing
like
wrong with that.
What's his name, like Kubo or Akubo or whatever from man, the Otaku cast is a different thing. Never mind. So
Sure.
I have to drink some live Pepsi-Milk. Rant House didn't happen this year. It was going to be multiple people, so I'm going to make them like Tink Talk, whatever that Zoomer thing is. So I'm going to make a few of them that were supposed to be here for Rant House before things happened. I'm gonna force them to record a Twitter video and share in my humiliation. Pepsi-Milk, it puts eyes on the inside of your skull. 1500 we did unlock Mr. Strength Hammer fitness ganks. So I know that uh, I know that
Uh-oh.
he's at a tournament, which makes this even more hilarious to me. So
Is he going to be jumping in though randomly where he's
randomly,
able to?
yes,
Fantastic.
yeah. So Mr. Strength Hammer himself, Chuck Moore, will be jumping in randomly throughout the rest of the stream to force me to work out. Um, so we'll
Wonderful.
Yeah, they were a big highlight from last year. At 2,000, I have to run a one shot for Chat Gang. Everybody interested in that, just DM me. Best way to DM me is on Twitter. It's the place where you don't get buried the hardest. Messaging me anywhere else, I lose track of the DMs. So DM me on Twitter if you're interested. If we have to do if you've been watching part of the stream, if you've been an active member of Chat Gang, if you're interested, just DM me. We'll see about doing a series of one shots coming up over the next few months. They might be big groups of like 10, depending on how many people are interested. We might have to go to like some sort of democratic process.
Going for those Gary Gygax con games of the past.
Yeah, pretty much, and we'll do systems of Chat Gang's choice. So people who are the most interested in like riffs, I'll do a riffs one shot. I'll bring out my famous train heist that I used to run at Gen Con to get my free entry. I'd run a Riffs train heist all weekend long, or not all weekend, all day, like Saturday or something, so I could like get in for free when I was a poor college student and younger. So I'll do that again if people want to play my train heist. If you want to see me run magical kitties, I'll do that. Soulbound, whatever it is. So DM me that after the show if you're interested. Getting in on that. So I'll be running some one shots for Chat Gang. I am financially obligated to do so now. 2500. Mephisto Mortal Realms cooking show. Oh, wifey gank. So 2500. You have unlocked that I have to record a Mortal Realms cooking show. That is going to happen over the next couple months. There's Lulu. There's my wifey. So over the next couple months, it's going to be 8 episodes. Is how this works out. About 20 minutes. I'm just going to cook something with a theme to each of the Mortal Realms. A lot of it's going to be shot on my actual camera phone, and then I'll edit it together and make something. So it'll be on YouTube, and we're very close to Pymageddon. We're $80 shy of Pymageddon. So if you want to see whatever Pymageddon may be, totally live and unscripted, donate for that. If we hit $3,000, you'll see Pymageddon. But now, Pepsi.
I assume it's just you taking a pie in the face, which is
maybe,
what I hope.
maybe. I did do regular Pepsi last year, so mango Pepsi. Let's do it. Let's live dangerously. Okay. All right. Lulu's got to go on a surprise run. We forgot the Pepsi.
No, that's fine. You'll get mango Pepsi. Is that what I heard?
Yeah.
Wow. You're just really making this horrible on yourself, aren't you?
You know, it's ironic, right? Like I do things that like makes my mental health suffer for the benefit of mental health, but you know that's that main tank mentality, baby. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you know, when you're the tank, you take the hit so that others
Sure.
can excel.
I understand. I was often at the tank as well, and in many MMOs.
It's just it's a mindset. Like, you know, because you get used to the, like the DPS races and stuff, and DPS races are wholesome and hilarious, right? Like we've had some like people like just absolutely throw shade with DPS meters and linking them in my rating days of the various MMOs I've played. But like with tanking, you have to look at other metrics. The one I always looked at was like threat gen or like just trying to take the most damage possible because it was cool, you know. But oddly enough, if you're taking tons and tons of tank damage, why weren't you mitigating it better, and you know, so on and so forth. So it always like kind of setting your own narrative and finding a way to be excited about it, and it just does something to your mindset. It's like a, you know, the older sibling mentality. The, you know, it's just something else. Main healer or
It's
bust.
funny because Fat Kid Sports says main healer or bust. That's like the one thing I've never
Hate
done in
it.
games and will never do.
Hate it.
I cannot be a healer. Like I don't care. I
Yeah.
don't care enough about everybody else to heal them. So, but no, I liked tanking. It was fun.
See,
One of my favorite characters of that I played in MMO was a little hobbit named Hobrick, and he was a guardian in Lord of the Rings Online.
that was a fun game.
It was a fun game, and we
That was
used to
fun.
run all the back in the original before any of the expansions. We ran multiples of the raids over time, but we would run the Witch King raid up in Angmar over and over again, which was a 12-person raid, and stuff like that. So yeah, good times.
I remember they had titles in that one, and
Oh yes,
so
they did.
one of
They
my
were
friends
amazing.
rolled a healer because one of the titles was like if you hit level 20 or 30 without dying, you get like unbreakable or immortal as your title. And so I was playing a Demus, which is it's a name I use throughout. All my tanks are named a Demus, which is a root of diamond. You know, unbreakable. So I had to get Diamond the Unbreakable. It's like a Ferris Manus situation.
Sure.
And so like I had a healer friend following me around until I ground out to like 30, and they would pull like if I was about to die, I was just supposed to run away, like bravely run away while they
Sure.
died, and it
Yeah,
worked.
that was a very good title to earn early in the game. When the levels eventually got up, and you could get to and you could have some level 90 or 100 character shepherding you around, it became a little bit easier.
But you had to get it early to have it later on. Like I want to be main tanking dungeons and stuff, and I want
Sure.
the world must know a Damus the Unbreakable, you know. And I remember, you know, scripting out instruments was one of my absolute favorite things. I would just
Sure.
because what was an MMO? It was really just early like Twitch. It was just chat rooms with an interesting. It was 90s chat rooms with an interesting UI laid over it. That's what it ultimately was. Like when you weren't raiding, you were just standing around looking awesome in a town somewhere, talking to your friends. You know, um, and I loved because you'd have these scripts for playing tunes. So I looked up a bunch of Led Zeppelin songs. So I'd just be sitting there like playing the Stairway to Heaven intro on my lute while I'm like AFK, like talking to my guild and stuff. It was like what a blast. What an absolute like just the vibe of that game was something special. We don't talk about enough because obviously
It
the
really
dominant.
was, and it's still around. It's still around, and they got there. They got to the end of the story. When they launched, like in my God, forever ago. I mean, that was the idea that they would slowly expand it out and follow the books, and eventually you'd get to Mount Doom and all of that. And sure enough, they did eventually get there.
Yeah, yeah.
So good on them.
I mean,
I haven't played since uh, Helm's Deep, so I didn't get to play any of the third book stuff. I never got to play any of the Minas Tirith or Osgiliath expansion stuff that they did, but I heard it was fun.
yeah, yeah. Right on. So you got some more. I see we're creeping up on that Pymageddon incentive. The one following that is Fluffy Bunny. That's where apparently I have to put a bunch of as many marshmallows as I can possibly fit in my mouth.
Sure, that tracks.
Do you guys want the huge marshmallows or the tiny marshmallows?
Obviously huge.
All right.
Who would answer anything else? What kind of a monster would want you to fill your mouth with tiny marshmallows? That's completely uninteresting. We want you shoving giant marshmallows in your mouth, Meph. in the most sexual way possible.
Yeah, I mean, if that happens during your block, it's gonna. I mean, just on brand with the Slanesh thing, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
So yeah, those are the next two milestones. Um, big phrasing. Wait, I just realized I've been away from RantCast for a while. You carrying from a new room? Yeah. Well, no, it's
Yeah.
the same room. The camera's just in a different place. Um, I usually my camera's facing this direction. I will be switching back to the former setup after this is over. I don't like my camera being direct. I always like you kind of pivot and you see chat and then you address chat and then you do it. But so we'll be changing after this, but in the meantime. And I was pulling back up manage. There we go. Doc King, 3 more to make it 8 for corn. Vince, I don't want you to paint.
Boo, boo, but also yay! Thank you for donating.
Vince, I don't want you to paint the awful resin Valkia, but a conversion attempts. I've got.
I see.
All right, right on.
Okay.
You're starting to get the $6, and we got $60, and just finished a 1-dayer here in Sweden, and won the pot, which is about 60 USD. I'm donating it. Thank you for doing this. No, thank you for donating. Nice. Yeah, thank you so much.
Who was it you donated that?
That was
Konstantinos, of course. So you won, huh? Yeah. I was watching his progress earlier. He is a corn player extraordinaire. So he won with corn. So there you go.
Right on.
He had to go through ogres, and he beat Soulblight then in game 3, because I saw his game 3 was against Soulblight.
Right on. So it's a 1-dayer. Top tables, Soulblight, nice.
But not the top, because they got beaten by corn. See, they can't be that good. Take that, Brendan.
So I've got a theory. I'd like to
unfurl. I've been working Archeon corn, by the way, as well.
It was non-Archeon corn. Nice.
Non-Archeon corn.
Nice. So I've got this. I guess hypothesis. Not quite a theory. We haven't tested it, peer reviewed it.
It could be bunnies.
Yeah, it could be bunnies. So I've got this. I've got this hypothesis. Mm-hmm. We were talking about roles earlier on, and I've started to think of like relationships as like MMO roles.
Okay.
And I think that I mentioned like the main tank mentality. In my relationship with Molly, I am the main tank. When we have life problems, I just like tank them until they go away for the most part. And she is DPS. Like she's deeps. She wants to crush the problems. And so we have this like interesting dynamic where we can DPS race any problem that can be DPS raced. Will like I just tank the hits while like she DPSs it down. One of my friends is certainly a healer, like utility role, where like he's always like got your back, and he's always like when the problems are happening, like he's always the supportive, like nice guy, like you know, really helping you through it. I think like I'm starting to like observe people's relationships and how they like interact, not just like intimate relationships, but like friendships and stuff like that too. And I think that people do. Maybe I've played too many RPGs. Like this isn't just about MMOs. This is like tabletop RPGs too. You have these roughly divided roles. Usually like utility a little bit more broadly than a dedicated healer. Sure. But like I'm starting to notice this. Do you think this holds any water? Do you think I should like move on to like clinical testing or at least surveys?
I mean, you've just broadly found another way to identify a sort of, I suppose, a sort of psychographic profiling, right? Of why people do the things they do, and you know that's always like it's not the what but the why that's always the fascinating question to ask. And you know some people seek after like are good at sort of withstanding shocks and trauma. Some people are more action oriented and stuff like that. It just has to do with their skill sets. I think it's a perfectly fine reading of it. I don't see anything wrong with it. I think it's sort of another way of looking at the same question. Mm-hmm. Right, which is, you know, how do people sort of deal with the situations that they run up against, right?
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just say, and so it wouldn't surprise me to see that, you know, to look at it through that lens and be able to see those kinds of traits and qualities in your friends. I think that's exactly right.
Right on. Dr. Dark Match, King Vincent, Big. Like, Heywoah will be on the night shift, everybody. Yeah, he was just quipping
Is
to
he
me.
is Heywoah doing it alone for some portion, or does he have guests for himself too?
He has
He's
guests
guest
as
host,
well. Yeah,
right?
he's got some guests.
Okay.
So he'll be on at midnight along with me. So if we hit the 5K, hopefully before midnight, that's the goal, man. If we hit that 5K, you'll hear last year Heywoah came on here and he did the peanut story.
Yes, indeed.
I,
Classic,
it
classic.
pretty much can't be topped. Like it's unassailably one of the greatest stories I've ever heard.
Mm-hmm.
But he's got another story that's pretty funny too, and he'll tell that story about another time he almost died. Um, and yeah, so that that'll be good for people's mental health apparently. Yeah, so that's later on tonight. At midnight, I will hang out with him for midnight, so I'll be the host and he'll be the guest, and then we're gonna kind of switch gears. 2 a.m. I'll hang out for a little bit. To just kind of say hi to the Measured Gaming folks, and then Heywoah's going to take over basically 2 a.m. and then till the morning shift when I'll be on. I'll be
Sure.
back on. So I'm not staying up the whole 30 hours this time. I'm sorry, everybody.
Well, I mean, look, H Bomber guy didn't stay up the whole time on his Donkey Kong stream. He just left a skeleton in the chair part of the time, and
the,
and let everybody else kind of go nuts.
well,
That's fine. You have precedent.
I
You're
found,
at least as good as H Bomber guy.
well, I found his stream kind of like after the fact,
Sure.
but we both did it for similar reasons, which was spite.
Sure.
Like he did it to spite one person, and I did it kind of to spite one person. Pseudonym, if you'd want to pronounce it because he's French. He constantly comments on how my streams are way too long to watch, and my podcast is too long to listen to. And this is right out of the 7-hour long New Year's podcast I did with Doc and Heywoah. It was right after that, and I'm like, well, then I'm gonna do it for 27 hours. Like, watch me. Like it was just the little bit of spite, little bit of charity. Like it goes a long way.
Sure.
So I guess what I'm saying is, if you have somebody in your life being kind of crummy to you about your mental health, spite them and donate to mental health.
Martin said, "Am I planning to include the new dragons in any of my armies? And if so, are you planning on putting a writer on it?" I don't know, man. I got to see the book. I really want to. I'm sure I'll get one of the dragons. They're pretty awesome. I like big dragons. I mean, it's kind of an ironic thing to pay a lot of money for a GW dragon that doesn't look that much different than many other third-party dragons I could go buy. I'm more excited for the dragon riders that I still believe are coming, and you won't dissuade me otherwise. I am. I believe that we haven't seen all the Stormcast yet, and that the dragon riders are coming.
Put it out
Those
there.
I will definitely play.
Speak it into truth, Vince.
That's right. Those I will absolutely put, Skaven cast, Rat cast on top of. That whole army is converted and ready to be painted. That's if the big dragon's cool, sure, my Skaven can have a dragon friend. I don't know. At the same time I have like 5 big dragons from other companies just sitting in my extra stuff bin, so I could just get one of those out and paint it and be like, $0 done on 160 mil base.
I own something like 6 like dragons, like 4 zombie dragons and like 2 creature casters, right? And they're all in varying stages of assembled, primered, or painted, right? I could very easily, you can't quite make it out, but on my curio cabinet here behind me with some of my models, right at the top in front of my Smashing Pumpkins Aeroplane Flies High box set, right in front of it is my creature caster dragon that is currently Zenithal.
Sure.
Currently, huh?
Yeah,
like the big sweet one.
Yeah. Dragon. Yes.
Yeah, sitting there, and then I've got the zombie dragon variant of it as well. Like, could easily just paint that. It's already Zenithal highlighted for me. Nah, man. Like, buying Scar, like, you cannot stop me. And
Sure.
I don't know, man. I actually like love the faces on them. Like
as do I. I think people are jerks. That's what I think. I mean, like, if you don't like it, if it doesn't aesthetically appeal to you, that's fine. Joking aside, like whatever. Like what you like, of course.
Right.
Aesthetics are very deeply personal. But like, I like that Krondus is kind of happy and has a little smug smirk on his face. I think that's adorable.
Yeah.
And Scar looks like Scar. Like, yes, They look like the Disney things from Lion King. Okay, like
So
not a bad thing. That's a good thing. That movie is classic.
I,
Like who doesn't like the Lion King? And Scar and Mufasa are pretty classic. So
I
I'm good with it.
yeah, it's weird. Like people mistake the obvious observation for like a prescient or hot
For
take or
criticism,
yeah,
yes.
or for criticism, and it's like that's not how that works. Like art influences art. Like homage or ripoff is whether I like it or not, right? Like
Yeah,
it's
yeah, exactly.
it's so it. This is the writer Meph talking now, like that whole seven plots in all of literature thing. Like you're not going to make something utterly unique. We're all staring at the same clouds, the same rocks, reading the same stories, like we're all largely consuming the same stuff. And if you grow up in a certain time period, you're all consuming the same dominant media. It gets into you. You can't help it. Like
Now, don't get me wrong. Would I have been, happier if they were weirder? Yes.
obviously,
I would have liked them to be super weird.
same.
Like real weird. And I don't just mean like, oh, but maybe they could have been like, Asian lung dragons or something. Like, no, 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 no. I want weird. I want like giant, reforged cyber dragons or something. Like, yeah, now we're talking.
Yeah.
Like straight out of Riffs Japan cyber dragons. That's what I want.
Well, there could be some super gnarly and good blast. Riffs Japan. Here we go. Sitting right here. Ah, yes.
It's a great one. And see, right on the cover, there he is. Look at that guy. Look at how amazing that dude is.
Yeah, yeah,
It could have been that. Like, tell me, why doesn't that exist as a miniature? That guy looks awesome.
yeah, yeah.
It's a great study in non-metallic metals as well.
Look at you. Yeah, you can actually see the right because that's how you pull off non-metallic metals. It's the same thing in
Yeah,
2D
yeah.
print
It's
as
little
on.
light points, and he's got the subtle reflections and stuff. The Sky Earth NMM. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Riffs books, often awesome art and comical art inside.
Look at this.
Yeah, man,
The
he's awesome.
freaking Cyber Eye. Like, oh, dude. Riffs is sweet.
It's a good game. Which raises the question, Meph, when are you and Heywoah coming up here for a marathon? Or down here, I guess, I suppose.
Um, I'm off Warhammer events for the year. I'm not picking back up till 2022. That's just a personal choice, family stuff. Like if I get free time or vacation time, it's to help my family get back in. So we did Ren Fair.
It's sounding like we're leading toward an excuse.
I'm thinking. You know what? November. I was kind of gonna make an exception and head to. How about November, December, January, or February at the latest? Because my layoff will happen either January or February. I could put that in the books.
Time.
I could put that in the books. I'll talk to Lulu. Yeah.
I would need as much as 10 minutes of warning.
Like, it's this weird dichotomy has always existed within me. I'm watching chat right now. Games I play and fiction I read tends to be sci-fi. Or sorry, things I read tends to be sci-fi, and the games I run tend to be modern. The things I like to play tend to be fantasy. It's really strange. Like if you ask me if I'm more of a fantasy
we don't have
fan,
to play Riffs, my friend. We can play whatever.
Oh no, I love Riffs. No. Like this is where I was going with this. Like I've always firmly liked Warhammer Fantasy Battle and Age of Sigmar more than 40K. But I like Riffs a lot more than like PFRPG or Dungeons and Dragons and like I have this and if you talk about like the fiction I read, like I'm reading Philip K. Dick and I've got Exegesis sitting around here somewhere because I hadn't read it yet. Like not quite sci-fi. But I like sci-fi for reading, but in terms of like playing minis, I like fantasy. And then like when I switch over to RPGs, I'm almost always running modern stuff and playing in modern stuff. It's just this little bastion of fantasy within me is Age of Sigmar and Warhammer Fantasy Battle. It's just this thread that goes all the way back to the thing that I loved the most as a child, which was fucking dragons. Pardon my language. We're during the primetime hours. Freaking dragons. Like it's always been, and so when those models came out, those sculpts came out, the tiny Mephisto inside me, like that I thought was dead and withered away, completely revitalized.
Sure. I'm honestly surprised they made them. As I said on the show, I really thought that they would never make like stock standard dragons. because I thought they'd think it was too risky to compete with other things.
Right.
But hey, there you go.
Yeah. No, it's cool.
But they proved me wrong. Somebody in that studio still wanted to sculpt a dragon, so they made dragons. I would love to see the behind the scenes on that kind of decision making.
I
think it'd be great to just be a fly on the wall there when somebody's like, I think I'm going to sculpt a giant dragon. Oh, okay.
I from my understanding from a few sort of like secondhand sources I've heard, so take it with a grain of salt, is like the sculptors in AOS kind of have like a little bit more creative license to just kind of like do whatever, whereas in 40K that's a little bit more like, stay on task, stay on brand. And so if someone has like a really cool design that excites somebody, they'll be like, okay, cool, let's do that. But obviously, like, they have production standards. Like they're like, hey, this is what we need. This is the army we're making. So like at some point in that process between creative freedom and staying on task for releasing Stormcast stuff or whatever, some person just really wanted to make a sweet ass Scar and Mufasa dragon. Like,
I see no issues.
I don't either. I like that, like, these are supposed to be sentient, dragons that talk to you, and it's reflected.
No, it's nice, that they're not beasts
in their face.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah. CrazyHorse, Vince, paint my dragon.
We'll see, man. All you got to do, CrazyHorse, is donate $6, or some multiple of 6, because as we all know, during this hour, it's now $6 minimum. Not really. I mean, if you donated 5, you're still, of course, in.
Right.
But you should donate 6 because 6 is cooler than 5, and we'll see. You can pick the dragon if you want. If that's what you want me to paint, I'll paint that. That's how it works, brother. All you got to do is win. You got to win this 2-hour blocks prize.
All you got to do is win. Just roll 6s, right? Like Sir Fluke's a lot. I like to imagine it's one dude that's just been suggesting to make a big dragon every meeting since he joined. Like they finally won.
Yeah, sure. Like it was just like it's sort of his Carthage must be destroyed, but it was like we must sculpt a dragon, and they're like we don't have time for it, right? And he's like fine. Next meeting, we have to sculpt a dragon. He just kept on it.
Yeah, it pays off. Tenacity.
The Lord Whale said, "Would $13 be a good number?" Yes, I will also accept $13. Absolutely, as we know that my other great love is Skaven. So yes, you can of course toll the bell of doom for 13, and that is more than acceptable.
So we got.
Yeah, I've got all my RantCast fully converted up. Meph, I finished that.
The honoring obviously honoring Skig obviously.
Obviously, I have their backstory all set up. Basically, somewhere in the future of the story after your game, Skig, now having being powerful enough and such, decides to he goes to Heish at some point and understands the nature of Heish, that it brings enlightenment and wisdom, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just from being kind of around it, in the essence of it. And so then he found like an old enlightenment engine that was in Heish still, that had not been converted over to a penumbral engine by Sigmar, and tricked a bunch of Skaven to coming and assaulting him there, because they were still after him as always.
Right.
And so he tricks a whole horde of Skaven to come to Heish to attack him near the Enlightenment engine. And as he holds them off and fights them, they slowly become enlightened and stop fighting. And then he proceeds to lead them in a series of heroic activities where they all eventually die and get reforged as Stormcast. So there you go.
I love this little battle. Like the Corn players absolutely indignantly refuse to donate $6. They just keep donating 8. So Luke's coming through there. Bryce
Hilarious.
says can't remember if I donated yet, so I'm donating it again just in case because Vince rocks. Right on.
There you go. Be safe. Yes, that's the right thing to do. In fact, if you can't remember if you donated at all, just keep donating, maybe every 10 minutes just to make sure. I think that's probably the best plan. It really makes sure that you have a good chance to win.
Oh, People 3004 says RantCast Nagash's worst nightmare. Truly. The absolute worst thing like would be RantCast.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, redeemed Skaven.
Yeah.
The combination of Stormcast and Skaven
Yeah.
in one foe. Yes.
Yeah. We might have found his actual kryptonite, the only way to truly destroy him. Um, Tanlin doing great work as always, donates 15. And Niles,
Nice.
keep on being awesome. I miss you so much, Ben. We gotta start hanging out again. I miss you, man. So thank you so much for that, Niles.
When are the when's the rerolling ones cruise time slot?
They're helping me close out strong. They're on Sunday at 2 p.m. to 4. So that's the final block. The prize for their block is a Warcry starter set.
Nice.
Donated.
I just got to see if they're gonna force me to make another RPG on the fly this year.
See, I'm hoping that happens, and like maybe we have some secret stretch goals to like to just bring it back. I don't know.
See where we get to.
Yeah. What did you think did you watch the Magical Kitties? Like 3d6 is the ceiling on the dice mechanics for that.
Yeah, I watched it. It's nice. It's a good. It's what it should be. It's a good lesson in design fit to purpose, right? Like
Right.
because the mechanics are relatively simple and straightforward. There's not a lot of crazy math. The checks are relatively easy to educate and understand as to what's happening. And the game is targeted at a younger demographic, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so that's a great, like, all of that's good design. I wouldn't hand like some very young child like 5th edition D&D or something and in its normal form. That's not to say you couldn't strip it down just like anything else, but like those kinds of games targeted at children, it's good when you see somebody design something that's actually fit to purpose like that. And I thought it was very good for that.
Yeah, right on.
I mean, that's not in any way a negative judgment. Like, there's nothing innately wrong about simple games. It's one of the things that I somewhat lament with 3rd edition AOS is that we have admittedly left behind our simple days.
Our
Right?
our
There's
one page of rules or whatever, like out the window, right?
yeah, I mean, there is just a lot more complexity to what's going on in 3rd edition, and that is something we're going to have to grapple with, because there's just a lot going on. Like, we have increased the barrier of entry to people who want to play the game.
Right. I see. One thing that's been like sort of nagging me this whole time, whilst 3.0 has come out, is what's the new player perspective versus the existing player perspective. I don't think anyone should be surprised that Games Workshop devotes an awful lot of their marketing toward growing the base and getting new players. Like,
Sure.
I mean, like I said it during the rumor engine stuff. Like, rumor engine stuff isn't for existing players. It's largely to like pique the interest of like newer or players who are just getting in. I think that's kind of obvious. And with 3.0, the thing I haven't figured out, because I am not a new player, is what that break looks like for what it looks like for new players getting in, like brand new to maybe you've played like some Warhammer, before and you're getting back into it. Like, I wish I could unlearn everything I know for one day and take a look at it with fresh eyes.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I will say that when I introduced 3rd edition to people, now these are my existing group, right? Because I mean, I was up on it before my group, which tends to be a little more cash.
Right.
But when I was introducing it to them, honestly, there was a lot of stuff that I kind of left out. We didn't worry about everything all at once on the first time. I said, and I told them that, right? I was like, there's more stuff to this. We're not going to do all of it the first time. We're just going to get you comfortable with the basics, and then we'll go from there.
Mm-hmm.
And I do stand behind that as a methodology, right? Because there's just a lot. There's just a lot right now. And so that's just, again, it is a reality we are all going to have to live in. It does make me want to play Destruction Armies more. I'll say that. Like, I already found armies like Lumineth to be absolute anathema to fun, because I'm not trying to take the SATs while I'm playing Warhammer, and that's what playing an army like that feels like, right? Whereas if you play like Iron Jaws or Giants or something like that, it's like, oh, okay, cool.
Yeah. Well, the win stroke becomes obvious for those armies too. Like the actual like wind stroke for Gargants is pretty much as easy as it gets. Go
Yeah.
there, stand there. Like sometimes kick thing if you've got it. Like it's um I don't know.
Which is great. I mean, playing giants is really fun and rewarding in third edition. It really is fantastic. Like if people were going to ask me, I honestly think they're doing a good job with new Stormcast. I think finally they did realize their problem. Like if you look at the new Stormcast scrolls, like a Vindictor or a Praetor and Annihilator,
Mhm.
they're pretty simple scrolls,
Mhm.
right? There's not like a lot of nonsense to them. That's good. Like
Right.
that's what I want. I don't want a lot of nonsense on these scrolls. I want them to be pretty readable, pretty obvious, especially for like Stormcast. If they want to have a couple ultra complex armies in the game like Lumineth, because kind of the point is to have, there's a
You
cohort
gotta have
that
a you gotta have a range, right? Like you gotta have a range.
yeah, and cool, I get it. I'm not saying that's bad. Like there are some people who like that, and if they do, then that's suddenly a great army for them. Awesome, they have a thing they can love and really juice, right? It's just it's hard to balance. There's a balance concern there because it's generally hard to balance something that has such a high skill floor and high skill ceiling
Mhm.
because a really like a strong player who's capable of that can oftentimes use the various tricks and stuff of that to make it function at a higher level, even against somebody who's a very strong player who's not playing an army like that,
Right.
right? Who doesn't have that same bag of tricks. Yeah, Cruel Boys is much the same, right? Yeah, the Cruel Boys scrolls are they're a little more than uh they're a little more than Stormcast, but they're still completely reasonable. Like both of those are honestly good starting armies. And I'm happy that we finally. It took us third time's a charm. My ultimate concern, Meph, is how long until we punch the reset button.
You mean like a
Okay.
total? What do you mean by reset button? What do you mean?
All right. So Warhammer First Edition and Second Edition were both kind of more role playing ish, inspired by D&D at that time. Games Workshop was still the sole UK importer for D&D, and this was very much a derivative of those kinds of like role playing experiences and stuff like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then third edition happens. So third edition, they sort of was kind of when they set the template for more of a war game. It only lasted really one edition, and I still group it more with first and second than anything else because it still looks more like first and second than it does like fourth and fifth. Fourth and fifth edition comes around. Fourth edition comes around, complete reset, total redesign of the game. It's still Warhammer, right?
Right.
But we have this total reset of the way the rules work. Okay. Fourth and fifth lasts for 8 years, 1992 to 2000. In 2000, they reset the game. And all the rules completely changed. Assumptions on size and stats and all those things, boom, boom, crush it again. Sixth, seventh, eighth lasts for, which are all basically the same game, just slowly advanced. That lasts for 15 years. But keep in mind, you had some very long editions in there. Like this is a low point for Warhammer Fantasy Battles, right? And then it resets into Age of Sigmar. Now, Age of Sigmar was a mega reset, right? Because they ended up resetting not just the rules, but also the setting, right? But they had blown up all the rules multiple times before.
Mm-hmm.
So my question is, how long until they do that? You see what I'm saying? Like how complicated? How much can we just keep refining AOS before they blow it up and take it all back to formula?
I don't know. I mean, I think in a way that this edition has 3.0 is finally getting out of like the beta testing is the way I look at it.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think they're finally live with like a full game system. And so like I think you got one more shake of this and then before a reset. I think you go to like a fourth ed and then fifth ed's going to be something different. That's what 6 years out. We got 3 of this and then another 3 conceivably.
Well, theoretically 2024 would be AOS 4th edition.
Yeah. So I think 4th stays and then I think 27th you're looking at something else. Or maybe they hold until the 30th for like a nice rounded number and some big campaign. That would be my guess. you can only bloat so much before you got to streamline again.
Sure.
You know, like you look at like, you know, something like a Dungeons and Dragons game where it releases so many splat books and there becomes so many feats that you just can't manage it anymore. You know, like you like
Well,
so
that's
many.
what fifth edition has managed really well, right?
They kept it
Like fifth
that
edition has put out very few actual player books
yeah
over its 6+ years of history, 7 years, I guess,
yeah
of
yeah
history, right? Like there are not a lot of player resources out there. Now they put out a ton of adventures, campaign books, things to facilitate people actually playing the game,
right.
right? Which is good. You know, we just have this weird, like we don't seem to do that in the same way. Narrative things feel like they have to have match play stuff in them or whatever, right?
Right. So real quick, I got kind of a heavier donation here, $100 from Dr. Darkmatch. You shared a comment, so obviously open to share your story here. Said I attempted suicide in my early 20s. My wife did as well in her teens. At zero support structure, had no one to talk to about how I was feeling when world crashed down on me. We were lucky and made it out of that place, and I wouldn't wish it on anyone. All right. So I shared some hotlines here for everybody. And CombatPhasePodcast shared this. You know, I'm no stranger to suicidal ideation myself. My brush was as recent as last, probably September. I tied a noose and everything. It broke. So I'm still here. If it didn't break, I might not be. Who knows? I didn't handle 2020 as well as I let on. I had to call. I had to call the Lifeline several times throughout 2020. So in CombatPhasePod here shared some numbers. If you're in the UK, you've got the Samaritans. Australia has Lifeline. Canada has Crisis Services, and the US has their own line. Sometimes you just need somebody else to talk to that's outside of your headspace. You know, the problem I have, like, I love Molly to death. I love her and my kids to death. Probably phrasing there, but I didn't mean to make it so heavy, everybody. But I just, you know, the worst case scenario of our mental illnesses is we hurt somebody else or we hurt ourselves, right? Like, or you know, heck, you can be normal. Philosophy Tube has a fantastic video on this. I recommend. You can quote unquote be normal, and still end up just having a bad day or the wrong type of day, and it can be really brutal. The problem I have recently acknowledged through some therapy that I had a few years ago is I didn't realize I had what are known as dissociative tendencies. I knew I had depression and stuff, and you know I've a bunch of problems, but I didn't know that was what was happening when I would go through what I call my spiral or my I have like basically you can almost map it out. It is a pattern of behaviors and thoughts that go through me. And the thing that sucks is like Molly, whom I love, and my kids, who I love, is the disassociation kicks in, and I don't even feel like I'm in my body anymore, or that I'm here. I am floating in outer space, looking down on the earth, observing it. I am in the Matrix, and I'm waiting to be unplugged. Like it is difficult to describe, but with my family, it feels like they're locked in here with me, and so their voices don't always bring me back because they're floating in space with me too, obviously, right? Because they're my world. And so sometimes talking to somebody outside of your world really, really helps a lot more than you realize it can. Like, they don't have the same biases and experience with you, for better or worse. And so I do recommend, if you end up in this headspace, you know, it's hard to unload everything onto somebody who's not willing to listen. You know, you might not get the right response, you know, even if it's your best friend in the world. But these hotlines are set up with people willing to listen. So that's my bit. And I'm sorry to make it heavy, but thank you so much, Dr. Dark Match. And thank you, everybody who's donated so far. remember, your mind matters, and somebody out there cares that you're still here. So, um, didn't sorry, Vince.
No issue at all, buddy. That was very good. We're all glad you're still here, Meph.
Yeah, thanks. I'm doing a lot better. I said like a couple weeks ago I had like a string of just winning. I was Martin Sheen, man. I was just racking up the W's, vicarious W's. Sports ball team won at work. The waves finally broke. Like let it be known that the waves broke before I did. Like I was good. I still got to my limit where I felt the disassociation happening again, and I had one night where I just like I kind of felt like I ran out of happy in the tanks. But I didn't drink. I went to bed early for me, and I got up the next day, listened to a bunch of like depressing music that actually ironically usually makes me feel better after a little bit.
Sure.
Like I need to listen. There's this fantastic Strange World comic or Weird Planet comic where it's like, here, listen to this music. It resonates with my sadness, and then resonating sadness. I feel like that. Like sometimes I need to listen to that good music that hurts me the best for as long as possible, and then like I hit a breaking point, and then like I have to listen to the upbeat stuff. So, CJ, you bust a gifting out 5 subs. Thank you for helping me pay all these shipping fees.
Very awesome.
So, yeah. The oil baron is at it again. So yeah. Again, you matter, everybody. You don't need to have a story like mine or somebody else's. You can. Heck, there's people who have it way worse than I did. I got out of the situation I was in. I am by many measures, I am the productive member of society that is packaged and sold to you as the American dream. Like I worked hard enough to go from homelessness to home ownership, right? So I'm doing it.
But that doesn't mean that we all don't need help sometimes. There is no shame. The whole point of this is to destigmatize the entire idea of this. The point is not to sit there and suffer in silence. It's exactly the opposite. There are people out there who can help you. There is nothing wrong if you need help. We all do in many different ways at all points in time in our life. None of us are an island. None of us have ever achieved anything alone.
1,000%.
We only get there together, period.
1,000%. 1,000%. Yeah. No, I caught so many lucky breaks. I've had so many people. Even putting this event together. Last year, I had a start collecting box in a dream. And some spite. Some spite, right? I set the goal at like, what, $500 was my minimum goal. And then they're like, yeah, but like, maybe set it to 1,000. So I ended up with like a goal of $1,000. And I thought that, like, I did math on like the average amount of money I make or the average amount of like donations and subs I get on a stream. That's not the same as money I make, but I'm like, a sub's this much, and this is how many people usually watch. I did all the math. I crunched the numbers. I'm like, 100 times that is what I'm looking for. And it was too low because people just showed up. People helped out. Like,
people are awesome.
People are way
there's
better.
Somebody, by the way, in the chat who says they can't figure out how or they can't donate.
I can't seem to donate. The PayPal link button is not working. Somebody had this issue last year. They had to sign out, sign back in type thing. You shouldn't have to create an account for Tiltify to donate to Tiltify. Let's see about getting you a different link.
There you go.
Here. Try that link there. And I would sign out of your PayPal and back into it, or, if you're donating from your phone, I know my phone sometimes forgets that I have PayPal, even though I do like the little fingerprint scanner thing. But, so. Had to use your computer? Yeah, there you go. Is the CAPTCHA open in the background? What is the QR code works, if that's what you're asking. That should take you straight to the donation thing too. Just play Ian in the house. Hello.
What's up there, Ian? How you doing, buddy?
one of my absolute favorite content creators. Um, I sometimes I fantasize that if I were a little grumpier and British, I would just be Ian. Um,
Sure.
I love you, brother. Um, let's see, we were talking about 3.0 before that all happened.
Yeah. I mean, we've been very spiceless during this. I would point out, by the way, we've had almost no spicy takes.
I've got some spicy takes. I'm just reserving them. Oh, Pie-mageddon happened. Well, go ahead. Spicy takes.
Oh,
Are
dude. Oh,
you
there
about
you
to
go.
drop
Yeah.
a spicy take on us, Vince?
I don't particularly have any. I'm just wondering if you're going to prompt me into any. That's really the question. We haven't. We've been pretty tame during our time here, Meph.
I've got a couple topics that I know are sure to incite spice.
All right. Well, let's get to it, man. We got like 40 minutes. Bring that spice.
Well, awesome donations, everybody. Yeah, Spice Inbound, take cover. So this IP thing.
There we go. Now we're talking.
How do you feel? How do you feel about? I know my thoughts, and I've largely not said anything publicly because I'm just kind of like, I have several minds on the subject. There's me who actually owns several copyrights for my own content that I've created over the years, whether it's my writing or articles I've sold and stuff like that. Um, I've been paid via exposure and, despised it. I left Kotaku over it before they became a legitimate video game press, pass holding company. Like I've run the gamut of this. So I have very complicated opinions on this, but I would love to hear yours.
Yeah. So my answer is like
And
on
you
one
can you
hand,
can add, you don't need me around so I can fill up on water because I'm keeping
you
hydrated
go
here.
ahead.
All
Yeah,
right.
I'll talk about it for a minute. Like on one hand, of course. Uh, so let me just start at the beginning. As someone who has received a cease and desist letter from GW in the past, that's a thing that happened in my life at one point. Nothing over what I've had anything to do with my current content production. This was years and years and years ago. Over something I had created and had accidentally infringed on one of their trademarks without my knowledge, and so received a C&D over it. I understand the fear of a C&D letter from a major company. Uh, the Of course, it's unfortunate to see anybody who's making content not be able to make that content, and I do believe that companies should encourage fan production of stuff because I think in the end that's better for the community and better for everyone and helps your brand grow in lots of interesting ways. But at the same time, they do have the right to defend their copyrights, and indeed the law behooves them to do so. Every time that they don't defend one of their copyrights, it actually makes it harder to defend it in the future, and they dilute the power of their copyright. So I get that. It's a very unfortunate and strange line we walk in the modern world with this stuff. My feeling is, uh, my feeling is generally that it sucks that they got this, but I understand why, and there's not much you can do about it. Like, if they have decided to protect their legally enforceable IP, then that's what they have decided to do. So, yep. Like, and we're all just gonna have to, like live with that, man, because it was their IP to begin with. So there's not much else to be done there, unfortunately. And this policy was always around. They could have always enforced this if they wanted. They just decided to bring it in house. And once they decided to bring the animation in house, they didn't want anybody out there directly competing with what they were making. So, which, is probably in the end a pretty defensible position, uh, as unfortunate as it is. So, yeah, there you go. Now, that being said, the rush to like it sort of bothers me that the issue that we're talking about here is this completely legal and enforceable IP stuff, and that's the thing that has become the discussion because ultimately I don't think that's actually worthy of very much discussion. Either still make animation. If you're that talented, you should be able to make animation that isn't trademark infringing and be successful. Like if you have a fan base and you've built up, your fan base will follow you. when you make other stuff. The thing that I think we should be talking about is the ridiculous scandal that is what Games Workshop's paying their employees. That's the scandal du jour. Now that's something I can get behind as like something that shouldn't be happening. When the article that went out that talked about what they actually yes, exactly. Oh, people said the IP holder's not at fault. Copyright law is. Yeah, I tend to agree with that. Right, like copyright law encourages you to defend any case that could possibly in any way be infringing. You have to defend it because that then makes it defensible in the future when somebody infringes your copyright in a significant way. But the thing that I think we should be talking about, Meph, I went through my whole statement.
Yeah, what was the scandal du jour? I was listening on my phone because I try to like keep up on this so I can come back and be
the pay, man. What GW's paying its people.
Yeah.
That is and Midwinter Middies made a little video about this. And
these companies and go ahead. Finish your take.
Believe some people have said in the past, like, Vince, you should go work for them or you should go do something for them. And I made the joke, they can't afford me.
Yeah.
Okay. The honest answer, they can't afford me. I mean, they can. They have the money. They have tons of money. But they clearly won't. I couldn't believe that's what they were paying.
Mm-hmm.
Like the reality that that their rules writers were making somewhere between I'll be more generous than the article because as they point out that was somewhat in the past, so let's assume it's gotten a little better.
Mm-hmm.
So that would place the average pay of a GW rules writer in the 20 to 30,000 pounds a year area. So
30,000
that's like 30 to a little over $40,000 a year.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which is the poverty line in the United States, by the way.
When you're literally at the level of money that we are currently arguing to get the minimum wage to in the US, because that's $15 an hour is $30 grand a year. Pretty direct math, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's insane.
Yeah.
That's insane to me. These are highly technical, skilled positions that you have to like know a lot of knowledge about, and they require, by the way, a ton of hours.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
you usually have
to put in a lot of hours.
Usually have like a portfolio too going in. Like you're not dropping into writing rules. Like there's a lot that goes into being into that position. Like sorry, go on.
So the it just play Ian says $19K in the UK is less than you are working in a call center for reference. Sure, I believe that, Ian. I could go around the corner and like the Home Depot around the corner from me is hiring right now, and if I went and got a job there, I would make way more money than that. Like not even close. Like, and I would just be either like at best I'm a floor supervisor at Home Depot. We're not talking about actual management. Like I stock stuff on shelves and help people find nails. Okay. So, like, and it's not, it's not that there aren't plenty of other positions that are underpaid too in our society. Of course there are, right? There's a whole discussion all about that. But like, I can't believe that's what they were paying their people. That's shocking. Shocking.
Yeah.
They should be still like, that's why I gave them like, hey, you gave everybody a bonus. Cool. I'm glad you gave everybody a bonus. That was nice of you. That's good.
It's a good bonus too. Really solid bonus. Like
it's about $6,900 US. It's not bad.
Yeah. Yeah, that's.
I mean, go work for a bank and tell me that's a good bonus. Okay, that's
touche. But go on.
But like but I'm glad they did it. It's no shade on them. Good stuff. Excellent work. The thing that was less covered in the stories, so that was a 10.1 million pound pool. This is how bonuses work, right? There's a certain pool of money and then it gets spread over all the employees. Mm-hmm. Spread over 2,300 employees. So amounted to like $4,000 plus a $1,000 stock dividend payback. There's also a $1.1 million pool that was split amongst senior management. Now, I don't know how many senior managers there are. There's not a lot. I would bet there's a dozen. Okay, because your senior managers are like Kevin Roundtree, the CEO. And then there's like a shady layer of vice presidents that we don't really like know anything about that report up to him. And then there's like the people we do know that are the department heads. So I don't know if the director department heads are senior management or not. They might be. Like, I don't know how they internally demarcate that. And they didn't say how many people were senior management. But point is, they got a lot better. They got a lot better. So yeah, just pay your people more. It's crazy in a year.
Well,
like,
pay people
their growth percentage is out of control. It's unsustainably out of control. The idea that that's where they would pay people is nonsensical. It's nonsensical.
You know, according to the Townsend Center for International Poverty Research, the number one way to improve your mental health, by the way, don't be poor. It's the number one way. You know, so I just wanted to tie it back in is get paid more. Now it's not causal, mind you. There's a corollary between like.
No, it is absolutely causal. There's a great study on it. Like... There's a fantastic study actually that was done in the UK of all places.
Yeah.
Around the tie between life expectancy, health outcomes, and poverty.
Yeah.
And what they found was that in this study, and George Rockelschmidt has an amazing episode on this on his YouTube channel. If you're not familiar with George Rockelschmidt, you should check him out. He's a great dude.
I like him on name alone. Cool. I don't like Rockelschmidt. What a name.
It is a name. You'd like the guy. Anyways, he has a great episode. He talks about this study, and effectively what they found was that they kept seeing these numbers where people would just have worse health outcomes, shorter life expectancies. When they got sick, it would be worse. And the only difference that they could trace it to was if people didn't have enough money to sort of meet basic needs, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because it created stress. And stress is one of the things that will wear your body down faster than anything. Like, the more stressed you are, like, if you're a highly stressed person, I'm sorry, once you pass age 40, you're going to have a rough time in life. Like, you are going to be more susceptible to a large number of diseases and unfortunate health outcomes and everything else. And by the way, they controlled for things like smoking, drinking. Like, this was a huge study done of the of British something public sector workers. I apologize, I don't know like the British government well enough to understand exactly who they are. Maybe Ian, if he's still here, knows like what these people are called, but it's like you work for the government in some capacity, right? So it's a huge cohort of people, right, of many different age groups. And you know, and the only thing they could come to was lower income, higher stress. People that were consistently reported higher stress because they tested for all sorts of great things, like, are you stressed? How often? Rate your stress ratings, right? And the people that had the highest stress were consistently in lower incomes, and those people all had worse outcomes, even showing for other things. You know, same exact person, high income, low income, high stress, low stress, smoking, drinking, right? Any other vices they might have. Thank you. Civil servants.
Warhammer.
Yes, that's what I was looking for. Yes, and Just Play In says it was cross-discipline, if I remember correctly. Yes, you were absolutely right. Yes, all the British civil servants.
Like,
it's a landmark study. It went on for years, by the way. This is like a 20, 30-year study. Okay, that's what makes it so incredible.
Right.
And so it very much ties into what we're talking about right now.
Well, I don't want to doomer pill anyone, right? Like, but it's there is a certain privileges that you're afforded make it easier. That's not to say that anybody, like, you can't be rich and depressed. Obviously, that's not.
Oh no. Yeah, that's totally fair. I didn't in any way mean to imply.
Yeah.
No.
You know, but like it's.
Thank you for saying that. Yes.
Like you know, I know, you know, one of my close personal friends had the exact opposite lifestyle of me. You know, like had stocks in their name before they even went to college. Like their college fund was just cashing out a couple, you know, stonks and then going to college and that, you know, like crazy stuff. That is just crazy to me. You know, they almost were from the they were almost from the CMC axiom of economic interaction to the MCM. You know, they basically, like, money gets a commodity, gets money, like that. They were almost to that level where they just have money, and to even, you know, most of us operate on a CMC where we have a commodity, which are bodies or our time or whatever, and then we get money, and then we use the money to buy commodities. Like, they were almost on the other axiom, like not, you know, upper class, but what used to be considered upper middle class, and it was just like the total opposite of my life. And their mental health is very similar to mine. You know,
and that's just it. I mean, the important. You're absolutely right. It's worth saying that, like, mental health can be a challenge for you no matter where you are on the economic spectrum, age spectrum, race, gender, anything. Right? It doesn't. Mental health doesn't. What do I want to say? Like, it doesn't discriminate in this way.
Yeah, you
Right?
can just
Like,
get it. You can just
yeah,
have you can just have problems.
it,
Right?
it can be a challenge, and there's nothing wrong with saying you need help, regardless of what else is going on in your life. It doesn't matter if you're doing great at your job and you're very lucky, and your house is paid for, and you've got a good retirement plan and everything like that. And by all accounts, you can sit out there and go,
You should be happy. Right?
you should be happy,
Right.
right? To look from the outside in. But that's not how humans work, man.
Right.
That's just not the way the world is.
Right.
So there should never be stigma, regardless of where you are in your life, about reaching out for help. Period.
Right.
End of discussion. Right. But that being said, it can be easier for, like, my point was more to say that oftentimes struggling economically or having these other high stressors can be contributory factors to
Right.
pushing on your mental health.
Right.
Right.
So how's that for a hot take, everybody? We get into the poverty discussion. Oh man, I lost my thought. I was about to say something. Oh yeah, was it Tosh point
So
out?
anyways, pay your people more, GW, for Lord.
Yeah, just pay people. Like they just pay people.
I do not understand. Like, what are we talking about?
Well, I don't particularly care for Daniel Tosh, but he did have one really great stand-up bit where he's like, "Money cannot buy you happiness, but money can buy you a jet ski. And have you ever seen someone upset on a jet ski?"
It's a great bit. I do agree with that.
And then he pantomimes being on a jet ski and trying to look upset, and then you can't.
I mean, his point is well founded. That it like, you're right. It can't buy you happiness, but as just Ian said, it can certainly help.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not a negative. I'll say that.
Right. So we did hit the threshold for Pie-mageddon. Now I have to step outside because this is totally live and not scripted or pre-recorded in any way, shape, or form. Just let me bring on over this YouTube video over here for unrelated reasons. Make sure. All right. See, I'm outside right now. Didn't you hear me open the door and leave?
I remember. I saw it.
I told you to unmute. Why don't you listen to me? Let's refresh. I'm still walking outside, everybody. I'm sorry. I think we're just gonna have to grab a different video entirely. Or a different link.
I think if we see it, we'll get the idea of it. Sure.
Who
you
knew?
Probably don't have your audio capture open, like your display capture open on that screen.
Yeah. Look at all my crazy leftist content videos I watch. No one can see these. Oh no, it's on the other screen. Good.
Wow, Meph, we never would have figured.
No,
you left tube fan.
Yeah. You don't think Meph confirmed left tube fan? What the f? Weird. What is going on? All right. Well, I'm sorry. You're not gonna get audio. I'm sorry, everybody. I'm just so good
it's
at.
Not what we're here for.
All right, here we go. All right, I am outside.
Just pantomime. Put the screen back up on Twitch.
Yeah.
And then just talk over it.
He's not...
ADR this. Come on, we can do
this.
This.
All right, here we go. Most dangerous Mephisto thing. Thanks for donating for mental health. Pie-mageddon. I don't know what that is, but you donated for it, and here I am outside. This is Lulu. She's awesome. What is that? Pistachio? Hopefully the worst is over. Oh no, it's not over. Not my shirt. And that one had Jell-O in it. It was really cold. It was butterscotch, pistachio, and purple Jell-O. Pie smashing noise. Yeah, there you go. There you go, everybody.
Very nice.
Yeah. Children laughing.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Worth every penny donated. I'll have the full video up on YouTube so people can go back and watch. The best part of it is Lily cackling, my 5-year-old, just absolutely losing her mind as I get wailed with pies. And Colin being so excited he almost misses my face and hits
I
the
saw
top of my
that. Yeah,
head.
I saw your son almost missed there.
He was so excited to get to wail me with to just get to hit me with a pie. He just he wanted to run in hot. It was really funny. So, but that's also why I'm not wearing my social media was a mistake shirt today, because Molly just threw a fistful of pie at my chest. Just the
I
whole.
saw that.
So.
Here's my question: in your house, which one of you does the laundry? Do you have a split responsibility on that?
Lulu. Mostly Lulu.
Oh, she was digging her own grave with that one then, because she's the one who's got to get that out of that shirt.
I handled that because it was my.
Oh, well, that's
So
very
it's
nice.
kind of like there's a default sort of state, but if you do something above and beyond,
Sure, then you gotta
sure.
deal with you gotta deal with your own mess. Yeah,
right.
That's perfectly fair.
Pretty much. So I mean, we're talking about like poverty, mental health, stuff like that. Like we're in a fortunate situation to where I do make enough money, largely through the overtime I work. Without the overtime, we're below the poverty line. With it, we're on the bubble. So, but she does get to stay at home, which is another $40,000 a year that we're not getting as a household. But she gets to stay home with our children, and that is such a huge privilege. It's a thing that I will never take for granted. I did time as a stay-at-home parent too, which was weirdly simultaneously like kind of the worst my mental health has ever been, but also the best I've ever been in, because I spent every day with my best friend, like my son at the time, like just every day, and he was at the most fun age of where yeah, he was terrible twos, but that's also when they're really expressing themselves and sorry, I don't mean parent cast, sorry everybody, but no, so I got to stay home, but then also I was never leaving the house, so I was just trapped with when the negative thoughts would get in, I never had any distractions. It was just me in the same surroundings.
Sure. I don't understand. Never leaving the house. This is a bad thing. I'm confused, Meph. Where are we going with this?
No, so it was also awesome to be the stay-at-home dad, because I just I took care of the house and raised my kid, and then I would stream at night. And that's actually how I started as a streamer. Is I'm like, I want to be productive for my family, so I'm gonna write stories and I'm gonna stream and make all the money. Of course, narrator, he did not make all the money. And the book I started 8 years ago is sitting at 20 chapters out of 30 finished, and it has been sitting for 8 years. But here we are.
Sounds like you need a new book.
Well, the problem is now going back, I'm not the same writer I was when I started that.
That's what I'm saying. You got to go to a new project.
Yep, I am. I'm on new projects now.
Good. Yeah, that's hilarious. Obviously, my goal in life is to never leave this chair or this house in any way, shape, or form. So, that's pretty much, this is where I live. This is where I spend my days. I don't see the problem, but I understand different strokes for different folks.
I'm actually pretty introverted. This is the thing that kind of blows my mind. Is I'm pretty introverted, but it's what's the line from Clerks, where Dante is talking to Russ or whatever, and he's like, but you hate people. And he's like, but I love gatherings.
Sure. Yes.
That's I'm kind of that. I don't really hate persons. But yeah, I don't necessarily like being constantly active and vocal. At work, it's the don't talk to me. I avoid homeowners on purpose like the plague. I get out, I do the thing I have to do, and then I'll drive around the block to the other side to bill my ticket so that they don't see me out in front of their house and come out and ask me questions about their water service or their electric lines.
Sure.
I don't want to talk to you. I did my job, I'm leaving. And yet I go through these periods where I absolutely need to talk to humans. So I need those gatherings. I need those retreats. Vince's Fortress of Solitude, indeed. So we're coming up on.
I mean, the Fortress of Solitude was always life goals. I completely respect Superman's Fortress of Solitude. I also think that any Fortress of Solitude depiction that doesn't have the giant key on it is, or at least some key like that is wrong and to be ignored.
Yeah,
And is bad.
like he has a key just sitting there out in front of the Fortress of Solitude. That is so heavy. Like it's this like.
Yes, it's like made from a dwarf star. It's ultra dense. It weighs like 500 million pounds. Yes, correct.
Yeah, yeah. He's the only one on the planet who can basically lift it up. So he just leaves the key. It's brilliant. It's fantastic bit of writing. Here's a hot take for you. Superman is a good character actually, when written.
It's not a hot take. That's just an obvious take. Of course, Superman's a good character. People who don't think that are wrong and don't understand good storytelling or mythology or what makes characters really interesting.
Right.
I mean, this is not even up for debate. This is just gosh darn it, what's his name? Why can't I think of it? He's like such a great comic book writer. He wrote All-Star Superman.
I've got it sitting on my shelf.
Morrison.
Grant Morrison.
There we go.
Yeah, The Invisibles, right? Grant Morrison wrote The Invisibles.
Grant Morrison's amazing. Watch the interview with him around All-Star Superman, where he says, like at the beginning of All-Star Superman, Superman gets more powerful than he's ever been in his entire life. Yes, absolutely. It's a fantastic series. If you don't have the comic, you can watch the movie. It's on HBO Max right now, and it's a worthwhile watch. Not quite as good as the comic, but it's still pretty good. And he starts out by making Superman more physically powerful than he's ever been in his entire existence. Like he one arm lifts like 500 quintillion tons. 500 million quintillion tons or some ridiculous thing like that, right? Just like more weight. He's lifting like almost the moon with one hand. And he's like, I feel like I could do a lot more. And the Dr. Future, whatever his name is there, and he's like, well, this is there's no machine capable of registering higher than this, right? Like, this is it, man. This is as good as it gets. And when Garth Morrison, or gosh darn, I keep on it. Grant Morrison was talking about it, and he talked to other people. They said, well, what's the challenge going to be? Right? Because this is always the thing. Oh, characters are too powerful. I hear this all the time. The character's too powerful to tell a good story. Shut up.
This would be Garth Ennis, who's the other.
Yes, it would be, yeah. Also a great writer. But he's like, they're like, what conflicts could he have that matter if he's that powerful? And he said, emotional conflicts, the things that actually matter in a story.
Yep.
It's so obvious. That's why I hate anything that's anybody who's like, well, the character's too powerful, this or that. And I see that all the time in movie reviews when we talk about characters like, oh, this character in this comic book movie or this thing or this medium is too powerful. It's not a compelling story anymore. Mortal physical danger is not. Most stories that I love don't include mortal physical danger. They include emotional conflict. That's most of our lives.
Yeah.
I'm very rarely in mortal physical danger.
Yeah, think about the problems in your life that you solve with physical violence every day. Oh, wait, there's like none of them. Unless you're actually a prize fighter. Like, come on.
Yes, but you have emotional conflicts every day, and those are the things that define your life and truly matter when you look back.
Well,
yes. So obviously Superman's a great character because his story is really an emotional one.
Right. Well, it asks a super interesting question, too, is like, what would a perfect person, like, what do those struggles look like? And, like, this really, like, he's even, like, he's not just physically perfect, he's also often deemed as morally, like...
He's very morally upstanding.
Upstanding, yeah. So, like, not morally perfect because he has his struggles. But, like, what does that look like? What do you do?
In most cases, he makes the right choice, and oftentimes that has its own conflict to
right.
it.
Well, like, I'm not going to give it away because everyone should just read All-Star Superman. Especially the naysayers who hate Superman. Like, go out and pick it up and check it out or watch the movie. Like, it basically starts out with him doing the correct thing is what causes sort of like the primary thrust of the conflict.
The inciting event for the whole story,
Yeah, he's doing the right thing. Like, and that becomes and like, just think of like a person in your day-to-day life trying to do the right thing at all times and still getting hammered on, Superman is a character, like, it's the main tank thing. Like, I love Wolverine for a very similar reason. Like, I love Wolverine because I watched him just, like, take a beating and always get back up. It asks, what happens when life throws more at you than you can handle. What do you do? Like, and I love that as a premise. I love that as a character concept. So
anyways, yes, not a hot take at all. Obviously, Superman's an amazing character, and that's why. And I this isn't like controversial because he has stayed around in the public consciousness for 80 years. He's just an endemic part of our society now. And you don't stick around that long as a thing without having some intrinsic value,
right,
that people recognize.
Germ says All-Star Superman changed me.
Yeah, sure. I believe that.
Yeah, I think art's transformative, 100%. Like, this notion that, like, words don't matter, or, like, things like, come on now. Have you ever listened to a song and it made you feel good, you know, or made you want to dance? Or, like, of course words and art influence people. Like, of course. Like, so it's
Absolutely.
just, that's one of, I mean, I love when people get to see, or they get that art that resonates with them, that helps them reshape how they see reality. That's the good stuff, you know, for me.
I'm trying to find something here real quick because I thought you'd enjoy this. It reminded me I need to go back and scroll through my wife's text messages because she's the one who sent it to me at some point, which I have to scroll through lots of pictures of dogs and a picture of Asami because we were watching Legend of Korra recently.
Yeah.
Which is also great. But she sent me a list. Meph, did you see the list of that went around social media of dumb magic items?
Oh yeah. The dancing shoes or the what was it? Go on. You got it.
All right. So this is the list. I'm going to go through these, Meph, with you because you and I are of a similar strain. This will connect. Talking about emotional challenges. I promise there's a through line here. But you and I both love weird things in our RPGs.
Yes.
So here we go.
Weird, strange, out there. Let's go.
Dumb magic items for your D&D campaign. Parens, these are not dumb. These are awesome, and you should use them. Here we go. A sword that inflicts emotional wounds. That's incredible. That's the most dangerous weapon I've ever heard of. Okay. Did you ever watch the Rick and Morty episode where they leave Summer in the car and he tells the car to defend Summer?
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
And the car uses emotional warfare on the cops by recreating the kid's like dead 7-year-old child. Yeah.
Yeah.
Emotional wounds are the deepest wounds, people. Okay. Yeah, keep Summer safe. Yes, exactly. That episode is incredible. Anyways, a hat that, when left alone with another hat, will mate and produce hybrid offspring. Incredible.
Yeah.
Free hats. Negative gold pieces. I don't know how that would work, but I love the idea.
You put them in the coin purse.
Like, I see it as you pick it up. Like, you pick up the gold piece and instantly you owe a debt to somebody. Like, its curse is that, like, it's just a sort of IOU that you now are aware. And so is the person who holds the debt. Like, the debt holder now knows that you have now inherited this debt. Okay. A map that is the territory. In other words, a 1-to-1 map. Okay. Armor that becomes more effective the uglier the wearer. First of all, that's just a great idea. I want pro ugly people army, or pro ugly people armor.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
Yeah.
A living pocket watch that never needs winding, but if you don't feed it, it dies. It's an obligate carnivore. Goggles that put sensor bars over monsters of the aberration type, like sensor bars,
like you just can't see them.
Yeah,
like censored and like
like redacted. Yes, an instructional tome in the secret language of ducks. Holy crap! I want that magic item. I want to know what them ducks are talking about.
Yeah, just
what they're saying.
Somebody did a homebrew of like the Goose from Goose Game, or no, it wasn't a homebrew. It was just like 3 rules. Like you have a goose, and like. They're really good. Those are maybe for another time. Continue. Like
a dagger that glows in the presence of one particular goblin. Just Steve. Just Steve the Goblin. But you always know if Steve's around. Like, what a great item that would be if you had like a Goblin arch enemy, you know? And like, so every time you're like, you're just talking in a bar and you look down and all of a sudden you see it glowing on your belt and you're like, oh no, he's come. Steve is here. And then yes, angry shoes.
Angry shoes are my favorite.
What,
I don't know what those are.
Angry shoes are.
Yeah, that's the thing is like I don't know what it is, so like I would leave it up to like that's one of those items like you just kind of like you workshop it at the table with people as they're like the story generates what the angry shoes are. I imagine you like angrily dancing at all times with them.
Sure.
So one of my favorite magic items I ever made was a cell phone that gave you a bonus to do whatever. In its modern iteration, you would have advantage on skill checks whilst talking on this phone.
Sure.
So it's like the inverse of like when you talk on the phone, you're distracted. Like you talk on it and get better at whatever you're doing. But you have to have a deeply personal conversation.
Gotcha. Nice.
Nice. In public, like whenever you're having this like personal conversation in public on this phone, you actually have bonuses.
Yes, yeah, the test came back positive. Yes, this is why I'm calling you. Yes, you need to go get yourself checked. All right. So, anyways, like I was saying, let's negotiate this nuclear arms agreement. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. My DM in my current Tuesday game, which we're running a sort of modified Dragon Heist. It's a lot more than Dragon Heist, but we're playing in Waterdeep. Always a fun setting.
Mm-hmm.
And he gave us this potion. It was like a potion of life sense. And we were like, okay, well, what's it do? And so he read the description. And, life sense is like the ability of undead to just see living auras, right? And so they can just like see through walls and stuff like that. And he's like, but it does so by replacing your eyes with glass ones. Like you drink the potion and then your eyes basically harden and become crystalline glass. And that's what give you life sense. And I was like, fantastic. I drink it immediately. Like, let's go. Let's get them glass eyes. Like, say yes is generally my motto in a D&D game. That's
100%. Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm all about weird magic items. One of my buddies who I don't really get to play D&D with anymore, but I still get to play Warhammer with occasionally, he was always a fan of weird magic items, like a cork that fits any bottle.
Love it.
Solid one.
Love it.
That kind of stuff. I once bought a magic sword in his game that he was like, yeah, it's really cheap. And I was like, okay, great. Well, I'll buy the cheap sword then. And then when I took it out and used it the first time in battle, every time I would swing it, it would say, I had bought it from this shop called the Two-Edged Sword. And every time I would swing it, it would go, shop at the Two-Edged Sword. Like every time. Every time, every attack.
So
it did self-advertising for its owner. That's why it was cheap. He was trying to get it marketed.
In the 3.0 game Heywoah ran back in college when we were in college together, he had a sword, the Unholy Despoiler.
Okay.
Every time it crit, you got a descriptive cutscene of somebody else dying somewhere else.
Nice.
So because it was so evil, someone else would get killed when you would like all their bad luck became, or like the good luck you got for the critical became somebody else's bad critical failure elsewhere in the world. And so anytime this blackguard would crit, we'd go entire sessions just waiting for him to roll the natural 20, right? And then we get this description of a salesman going to going to work and the death of a salesman. There's just we just have these hilarious things. And then we had a bag of holding that only could hold orphans or puppies.
Sure. Sure.
But they could breathe.
Very specific purposes.
Making magic items for a specific purpose are just great. That's why I love feather tokens. Feather tokens are fantastic. They're so specific and weird.
Weird magic items are the best. That's part of the fun of games. I kind of wish we were better in Warhammer at making more magic items more equally valuable. You know what I mean? I understand it's a competitive game, and so, you can't functionally go too far off. Mm-hmm. But I wish they would be a little more creative with kind of how they applied this stuff, is my honest answer.
Yeah.
I feel like there's so many cool things they could be doing with magic items that they're just not. And, I look at stuff like the universal magic items, and this was such a good chance to do something really interesting. We only had 4 universal magic items added, and we still couldn't get 4 balanced magic items. I just don't understand how that's the case. It's shocking to me. Because, you should have nailed this. It was 4 items.
Well, they got 1. I love that it's
So they
called
got
Amulet
two.
of Destiny because
Yes,
it's
they
like
got the Amulet of Destiny, as in you're destined to pick this in
you're
every army
destined
you
to
play
pick
from
it.
now on.
Ethereal Amulet was this was its destiny, was to just become this item instead. Like,
Yeah. So like I'm good with the Amulet of Destiny and I'm good with the spell book, and I like that they both exist. They do things that are fun in the game that are useful, right?
Yeah.
But like really, we couldn't get two other also interesting magic items. Like that was
well, the way I would
it's a pretty
approach it,
low bar.
if I were if I were James Workshop for a day, the way I would approach it is do 4 interesting balanced items and 2 wacky items. You know, like you put the flavor back in. Like you were talking about rules bloat earlier. Like, when do I accept rules bloat? When it's interesting or
Yeah,
good.
sure.
You know, like
Totally. Yeah, yeah.
that's my rules. Like, when it's interesting. You know, that will always be my
Yep.
response. There's a couple like, well, this rule is like, isn't this just like straight bloat? And I'm like, yes, it is, but it's interesting. Ergo, more
Sure.
fun, more
Sure. Like
engaging.
I'll take an old Wrathmonger rule all day, right? Because it was really interesting what it did, or whatever, right?
Yeah. Yeah, like I don't mind that. Like those, and when you're talking about in the balancing of things, they should almost be freebies though, because you're adding
Yeah.
flavor. So like, you know, if you have like a stat buy type thing that you're going off of for how you design a war scroll, you know, like if it's got flying, it can't have this. You know, you've got some sort of design principles I don't know about because they're all behind the scenes, right? Like whatever they are, you get to be free if it's like weird. You know, like if it's just
Yeah,
weird,
sure.
you know, and that's how I do it. So, you know, your sort of judgment, you know, did nothing wrong. Such a specific instance and like hilarious outcomes, like the swingiest hilarious outcomes. That could probably be one of the 4 core items. You know, will somebody take it? You betcha, because it's fun. Is it the best?
Right.
Is it the best pick? No. And like my worry of games becoming tighter rules wise, you know, the 3.0 isn't that yet. This isn't like a value statement on 3.0. My worry with the trajectory of something like where 3.0 is getting or going, or a natural conclusion of what this is and where it might go, is that it becomes more homogenous. Homogeneity is lame in my silly miniatures and RPGs. You know,
Mm-hmm. Yep, agreed.
it,
And that doesn't have to be the world, right? Like you can have things that are fun and still like within the scope of balance. Like that can be done.
right,
It's fully possible.
right.
You know, it might take a little extra work, I'm not going to lie, but it's completely doable. Right? We shouldn't just put our hands up and be like, "Oh, well, I guess we're not allowed to have fun things because we got to have balanced things."
Mm-hmm.
That's a false dichotomy.
Mm-hmm.
Now, fun, interesting, unusual things can often be harder to balance.
True
I will
story.
completely accept that.
Yep.
But that doesn't mean we don't try,
Mm-hmm.
right? It just means that, like, okay, they're harder to balance. We know that. Let's do the additional testing on it or whatever.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Find out if the D6 or the D3 is appropriate for the wacky thing it does. You know, like,
Right.
yeah, does it go off on the hit or wound? You know, things like these are, you have these levers available. There's so many interactions on on in this game. You have a bunch of levers to pull to adjust these things.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yep.
they should have made realms far more goofy, alter your game in interesting ways than they are. Like, what was the orb that was in the old LON tome where you could just like slay a model outright if you roll a 6 within 3
Well, there's
inches?
the brass orb in Skaven
Yeah,
that does that. I don't know if there was also a
it was Legions of Nagash.
or
Grand Alliance might have been, or not Grand Alliance. It was Legion of Sacrament, I believe, had it, and you could just like,
I returning back, Ian. I agree with what you just said. Just throw that out there.
what's that? Even air.
He said, or spend more than 20K a year on writers and testers.
Ooh.
Yes.
Oh, full circle. Nice reset.
Pay people to do the professional work you're asking them to do. Yes, I
Yeah.
agree.
Yeah. Yeah, Black Gem in Legion of Night is what it was. Yeah.
No, there you go. Cool.
You know, just
Yeah,
wham.
I don't know these death items because Legions of Nagash was literally like the most boring book in the universe.
It
so
wasn't a
it's
good
fine.
book, and so like it's opposite day. Like Ian's in chat.
Take
Like
that, Brendan.
Ian
You're
and
out there.
Ian and I were like the only two people, and at the time it was like on TGA and stuff. I think he may have had his podcast, and I RantCast wasn't a thing yet, but we're like the only two like death players frequently on the death forums, like talking about how the LON book wasn't a very good
Wait,
book.
hold on. You got 30 seconds. Put in your $6 now if you want a chance to win the model that I'm painting.
Oh man, I forgot to reset that so much.
Go, go, go. Make those donations. Now's your chance. The seconds are counting down.
But Soulblight Gravelords, I feel, is a much better book. Like it's
Yeah.
like it's two sides of the same coin. It's like all the decisions that they made wrong with LOM, they made right in Soulblight Gravelords, for the most part. There's stuff. You know, the anti-synergy is like just a feels bad, but can't win them all. Can't be perfect. Speaking of not winning them all, no, that would have been a good segue.
You having the Cubicle 7 people on?
Yeah, Cubicle 7's on next. Just Emmett. Unfortunately, Elaine Lithgow had something come up.
Oh, boo.
Yeah, I was looking forward to speaking to Elaine again because she's gotten a promotion since last she was on the show. She's now a full-time writer for them. She was
wonderful. That's great to hear.
Yeah,
she's very talented and writes some great stuff.
Yeah.
And if you're not playing Soulbound, you should be checking it out because it's fantastic.
It's a really solid, like, high fantasy, mythic fantasy. I think it really captures that vibe. Hang on, I gotta send Emmett a message real quick. Is he in? All right.
I mean, I'll hang with you and keep talking until he gets here. No issue.
Yeah, sounds good. In the rant house, conceivably, I'll have other people to do some of this micromanaging. All right, we got a giveaway to do anyway, right? Should have just closed up on that. Yep. All right. What would the perfect magic item in AOS be that doesn't yet exist? You know, we could go back to
perfect magic item.
Perfect.
Do you want me to make it universal? Is that the question here?
Right? Yeah, like the perfect. What is a perfect universal magic item
that doesn't yet exist? Okay.
Boom.
Let's think about. Let's think this through. Okay. So it's got to be. All right, I got one. Okay.
Okay.
It's called the Bonds of Loyalty. All right.
All right. Like slash on theme already.
Something or, you know, it's like the 10 rings in that trailer. Yeah. Okay. So the Bonds of Loyalty. At the start of the game, you may nominate a single unit. You may nominate a single unit, which cannot have the behemoth, artillery, or leader keyword or leader role. There we go. Sorry. And that unit becomes the bearer's bodyguard. Okay. If the bearer has more than 10 wounds or more, then then anytime that model is wounded, roll a die, and on a 6-up, the wound is transferred to the bodyguard unit. If the bearer has a wounds characteristic of 9 or less, it's on a 4-up, or you get +2 to the roll, or whatever, you know, however the appropriate rules text for that is.
Yeah.
So you get to pick. The unit cannot be larger than the unit chosen cannot be larger than 5 models. There you go, or 10 models. 10 models. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, so basically giving people like the retinue, like a sort of like a retinue rule.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. A way to keep a single small hero alive through a magic item choice. So if you have a single small hero you'd like to stay alive, you can give them a magic item, and then they have to also have a unit then camp near them, right? Because they have to. I didn't say it, but they'd have to be within, I don't know, 3 inches of them or something like that. Because we all love our utility heroes, our small little fun utility hero, and they are eminently snipeable, right?
Yeah.
So this is a fun anti-shooting tech. It's a good way to. Clearly, the incentive is to put it on a smaller hero, right? Because it does not much intentionally if it's a big hero. But you still let people, if they want to make that choice, they can, and then the big hero can get a 6-up bodyguard. But for the most part, it's meant for small utility heroes, and yeah, there you go.
Perfect. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and roll for the mini draw now.
See, this is easy.
Yeah. I like that you just like kind of like just BS'd an RPG out of like nowhere last year. Like, we'll see if we can.
We should have made that our topic, Meph. We should have been. It should have been. We rewrite. We write a new set of universal magic items. Crap. Now I'm gonna have to come back on.
You know, my schedule's open for all of August.
We'll do it. That sounds like a great show topic.
Yeah. All right.
What makes a good magic item? And Vince and Meph create new universal magic items.
All right. All right. August sometime. Write it down or I'll forget. Come on, Meph. Daddy needs a painted dragon. All right. So the roll is actually in.
That's fine. Dr. Darkmatch said, "What's next with you and Adam? Another game." Actually, next, I suppose, is the solo rules. We've already announced this, so it's fine to say that. The solo rules are for Reign in Hell, which if you haven't yet checked out Reign in Hell, check it out. It's in the link of all my videos. And the solo / co-op rules for Reign in Hell will be coming out next month. So they have been completed and tested. They are being edited right now. So there you go. So even if you find yourself in a position in the world where you're still in lockdown, maybe, or you don't have a group that's interested, you'll still be able to play the game through a fun campaign. And those rules will be completely free. The solo rules will be completely free. And then we're going to make a different game.
Red Geist is the winner.
Who was it?
Red Geist is the winner.
Red Geist. Okay. Well,
so congratulations on that. Let me write down the winner here.
Sorry, Anthony. No dragon for you, buddy.
There we go. All right. That's my email. Hey, there you go. Congratulations, Martin Orlando.
Oh, yes, that is him. Yes. I forgot that was him.
Awesome, man. Congratulations. You
Martin
speak
won.
it into the universe about your Lumineth Realm Lord thing.
Yeah, now I've got to paint a Lumineth Realm Lord.
I hope it's pure suffering for you.
No, I'm sorry, that one didn't count. You're gonna need to draw again. Matt.
Draw again.
I apologize.
Draw again.
No.
Guess you're painting Lumineth. Fantastic. Well, I mean, it fits this constraints. You would never normally paint Lumineth, right?
I would never normally paint Lumineth. Yes.
So
be a good chance.
Just waiting on Emmett yet. Well, we can prattle on a bit longer, I'm sure.
Sure, whatever's fine, man. I'm just sitting here painting. It's all good.
And then, so real quick, next up on the docket after Cubicle 7 at 4 p.m. is Just Play. So you've seen Ian being active in chat here. And the new face of Warhammer, according to me, Tom, will also be joining him. So I can't wait for that.
I expect a spicy hour. 2 hours, sorry.
You know, I usually save the hot takes for the night crowd, right? Like you can't come in spicy on like a thing about mental health. I don't want to like hurt
have to be
people's.
mean. I'm just saying,
Yeah.
Ian. I want to see some good stuff, brother. I'm gonna be excited to be tuning in during that period.
I'm surprised Vince doesn't want any Slaanesh corrupted Lumineth army.
No, I mean, look, man, I've painted a lot of Slaanesh. Okay, like, and Lumineth. If the rules of Lumineth were even remotely interesting to me, sure, maybe that would be okay. But I mean, I've painted a lot of Slaanesh. 1, 2, the rules of Lumineth I find to be like completely uninteresting and awful.
But they have every rule. How is that uninteresting?
Yeah, that's how it works. So that's gonna be a no.
No,
It's gonna be a no for me there.
That's a no for me, dog.
Red Warden says he can't select reward as they are all locked.
They shouldn't be. Right now, you actually have the opportunity to select 1 of 2 rewards. You're actually entered for both, regardless of what you select. So coming up, so right now it's a gift card, and here I got my master list over here. The Wargog Prophet, as painted by WSorran, he's a very modest person, but he's a fantastic painter in his own right. So it's a Wargog Prophet, and then a $50 gift card to Pro Painted Studios. I own
Nice.
tokens for all my armies from Pro Painted Studios. I've got actually like custom little like 3, 6, and 9 inch markers that all say Mr. Meph on them. So uh, so yeah, that's drawing one. The other drawing is our super secret drawing that showed up, which is the Beast Snaggers box, uh, donated by Ministomp. I'm told that he may be secretly donated something else for tomorrow. Maybe more on that later. But you really might want to, like, I don't know, maybe keep a good hoard of wealth around or something, and
I mean, I
just
hope people understand that Ministomp's incredible and is like the place they should be going for all of their Warhammer stuff. Like
I think
here in the U.S., really, I think is who he primarily serves.
well,
But if you're U.S. based, like, come on now, what are you doing?
gonna take a Heywoah take here, or at least a take that he sort of put pretty eloquently. Uh, is the Warhammer Age of Sigmar community, like, if you're running a tournament, that tournament takes place at a venue that has a bar and a charity raffle. It's just
Right.
part of the culture of this great community. And chances are, if you've gone to an event in the Midwest, that raffle has featured stuff that Mini Stomp has just given to that raffle. You
Yep.
know, like,
Yep.
and I mean, it's just the sort of like grassroots capacity for kindness and stuff from this community is pretty awesome. And I think that's, I mean, this is a microcosm of like how I think the world can be improved. This network of people helping each other, it's a very diverse community. Like, I people are not surprised to find out I'm a leftist, but I get along with conservatives within this
Surprise
community
Pikachu
too.
face.
Yeah, surprise Pikachu face. But like, I get along with like conservatives here too, because I don't think anyone. First off, I hate the whole putting people in like people are way more complicated than like than some sort of binary political axiom. But you have these like people that just you learn them as people first, and because you know them as people, and you get to like sort of meet this sort of the sincere individuals, it makes life so much easier, because there's not this like whole every worry that like someone's in bad faith, just like out to, I don't know, it's just special, it's different. The Island of Misfit Toys is uh as Nick says.
Yep. Absolutely. We've gotten a lot of progress down here. I'm excited.
You
Got a
can't
lot more to go though.
Yeah. I talked to you. See, Razor Tree, I love you, man. Like you and your wife are one of the coolest families in Warhammer, so yeah. And that's the thing, is like you find that you have bonds with people that extend beyond like these boxes that everyone always wants to put us in. I think that's you can be a reasonable person and believe.
Deeper level, it's the bonds of a community that actually means something real to you,
Right.
right? Like the reality is, most of the people who I now consider my really good friends in this wider community are people I've met through this hobby.
Same.
That's what it is, right? Because there's something that bonds us together. This game, miniatures, the miniature hobby, these are relationships and friendships that I highly value, and I wouldn't have had them if it wasn't for this hobby. It's a wonderful thing. CrazyHorse, what am I working on? It's a secret, but you know what I'm working on, CrazyHorse. You're the only human being on the planet that knows what I'm working on.
Can I create a invite from here? No, I can delete the channel from my phone.
Oh, well, that's nice. Delete your channel. And it would just be like that guy who was going around leaving messages on everybody's channel.
There we go. I see you, chat gang. Who is this? Oh, Flukes. I see you, Fluke. Right, we'll go back to full screen for a minute. Yeah, the funny thing about people is you don't have to be carbon copies to be good, lasting friends. Open minds and open hearts. And a few overlapping interests will take you very far. I agree. Tululia perfectly stated.
Absolutely true. I've got one buddy I've known for years and years and years. One of my great friends. I used to work with him back in the day when I worked at CompUSA. And he and I, like, we don't really talk much on a normal basis, but every couple of weeks we go to a movie. He's my movie buddy. We go, we hang out, we talk comic books, we nerd out about stuff, and we go watch a movie. And it's great. My life is more full because he's there. So there you go.
Yeah, perfect. I'm gonna grab this Wargog Prophet and get it on camera so people can see just how fantastic the job. Let's see. Got to give it some sort of framing here. Make sure people can see it.
I'm sure Martin has already texted me about
exactly everything he wants. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Hang on, I'll be right 1 second. I just got to step to the other side of the room.
All right, folks. Now that he's gone, let's talk about how awesome Skaven are in 3.0.
I'm still here.
Oh, geez, he's still here. Oh,
no. Brendan, are you hanging around, buddy? If you could come in to co-host for a minute, that'd be pretty swell. I'm the bad influence. All right. Well, I'll be right back.
Fine. All right. Now that he's really gone, let's talk about Skaven in 3.0 and why they're amazing. Look, if you're paying anything else that isn't Skaven, what are you doing with your life? Tune in this week for the show. Yes, we're covering Skaven. Yes, I'm excited about it. It's going to be awesome. So there you go. It's the only army worth playing. Forget your Soul Blight. Forget everything else. Those are all dead to you now. All that matters is Skaven. It's the army of 3.0. Forget the hype about giants. That's out of here. It's all Skaven now. Vermin Lords, multiple, all good. 60 blocks of clan rats. Do you know how excited I am to put 60 blocks of clan rats on the table?
The most excited one could possibly be.
60, Meph. 60 blocks. And I've seen a lot of people making lists, and they're still using 20 blocks. I don't understand.
Oh, wait. That battle tome's a little too busy in the background for that orc. Here, let's...
They're like, you can do 60 now. You know how incredible 60 is? You can take any hit and then just curse people down on the backswing. It's amazing.
That one's probably a little too busy, too. Hang on.
Rat ogres are also awesome now. Thank you. Yeah, I have no problem with that. There's so many good options now. The book is it's a rich cornucopia of fun.
It's not just all Stormfiends all the time.
No, despite what you've heard. There are many, in fact, exciting options in there that aren't Stormfiends. Although, Stormfiends, also good. That's fine, too. They're real good.
Yeah, they have the most realistic outcome for them shooting a thing with appropriate buffs is that it is dead. So there's the model painted by WSorran. WSorran, of course, also painted a full box of Cursed City. That's available tomorrow at 6 a.m. during the coffee and hobby hangout with Chat Gang.
Ooh, you got to get up early for that one.
Yeah, 6 a.m. You're gonna help me reboot and wake up. So everyone. So yeah, he painted this. This is the Wargog Prophet. Donating $5 during this block will enter you for this. And this also comes with a $50 Pro Painted Studios gift card donated by Soren and GDead, respectively, in Chat Gang. So huge shout outs to them. That's just Chat Gang, being Chat Gang, donating, helping people out for a good cause. And then the other thing is a Beastnaga box donated by Ministomp. He wanted a $10 minimum on that to try to really drum up some interest. So if you donate $10, you're entered for both. Just the 5. It's the Wargog Prophet. So. Well, I sent Emmett a message on all the platforms I have him on. So guess we'll just hang out and plow ahead.
Fine. No issue to me. My only sadness is that people have had to look at the top of my head this whole stream. Because I'm often looking down. And
See,
I'm very bald.
The thing is,
reflective.
For me, Your head is so reflective that I just see my own reflection, so I get to see myself twice, and I'm beautiful. So
There you go. Find the bright side.
yeah, always
Well
look.
done.
Yeah, on the bright side of life. um, well, Osmo donating. Let's see if we got some donations to read. And congratulations to Martin Orlando. He must have sacrificed the right combination of animals to make that happen.
He's got to. Obviously, he must have done something truly debauched during this hour. That's how you won.
That's right.
Exalted. I don't know what you did, Martin, but shame on you.
Exalted Griff has donated $10, saying you're doing great. You know what, Exalted Griff? Thank you so much. You're doing great too. You're here. It's excellent. Just got keep the train rolling. $5. Just got second donation for the Beast Nega box. I mean, you didn't have to do both, but I love it. Not sure how it works, so you get an extra tenner out of me.
There you go.
Dark Elf Sorceress donated $6 this hour in honor of Vince, since the announcement for proper dollar amounts that block came after my donation. Yeah, I should have known better. The die is cast. Thank you for the $10. And Osmo shouting, "Wah!" There you go. You got a wah out of me, everybody. Get some shine on that head, because the future's so bright. There you go.
Indeed.
So, I guess, I'm sure you did a show on Cruel Boys. But
I haven't yet, because I'm waiting for the book.
Okay.
I mean, we can. One of the things that might be interesting to talk about is let's just discuss our hopes for new Stormcast and new Cruel Boys.
Okay.
That seems rich for conversation. I have not done a show on that in my formal show yet, and I have a lot of hopes for this. Which book would you like to start with?
I have the stronger take on Stormcast right now.
All right.
I have my take on Cruel Boys is more of a hopeful one.
Okay.
So, but let's start with Stormcast, because they're the Ryu.
They are. So I like what I've seen so far. My hope is that they buff all of the various chambers to be functionally interesting. Is what I'll aim for here.
Yeah.
Okay. I would like to see people's existing collections have value. So like, I want to see them do. I want to see those Dragon Riders. That's number one. Things that I would really love to see them make interesting and good and valid on the table and have a role are like the old Dracoth Riders, who I've always thought were just the coolest.
Yeah.
I want to see the Dracoth Riders, and that seems like it should happen. I mean, we're in an edition where you just introduced two big dragons, and who are children of Dracothian, and that was part of the whole Extremis Dracothian release. So it kind of feels like maybe those should be good, to go along with that, or at least playable. I guess. Yeah. I'll set my bar low.
Well, I mean, also, Kragnos needs things with the Drake keyword to eat, right? He needs more. This is true. Yeah, he needs more of those.
I want to see, what are they? Prosecutors? Yes, prosecutors. The little flying boys. The little winged flying boys. I want to see those actually be interesting for the first time in the entire history of the game. I don't know how that gets achieved. A 3-man unit of quasi-elite flying dudes. Like, its sort of obvious role is the boring one, to make it like ultra cheap chaff, but it's never going to be. It's never going to perform that role in Stormcast because Aetherwings exist.
Right.
So, it's like.
Well, I mean, the fix, right, is to turn them into Kinnerai, basically.
Sure.
They
drop down,
pop, and move. Yeah, and then capture as like 3 when they're assaulting in the enemy territory or something like that. Like,
sure, 100%. Yeah. Like you could do like a Kinnerai build with them that could make them interesting. Like let them stay up in the heavens, or ambush in, regardless of kind of whether you're playing a Stormkeep or the normal Stormcast or whatever.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
And then have them move on drop.
Yeah.
You could also up their damage a little so that they're actually scary. Like in the round they drop. Like again, another Canary trick, right? Like in the round they drop if they're deployed or set up or whatever. They go to, -2 rend and 2 damage or something like
Yep.
that. So they can actually drop and hit pretty hard.
Yeah, they drop and pop, and then they get to move if they do thing, and then they can give them the scoring count for 3 models apiece. So like a little squad of 3 was that 9? They basically have to kill 2 things to steal a min battle line objective. Like that's a
Yeah, that's a super powerful rule that they just mentioned in that article that got added. The whole Stormcast Redeemers count as 3 on objectives. Like, whoa, that is more than I was expecting. I mean, certainly that's new Vindictors, and I think Vindictors are the ultimate winner there. But Liberators are benefiting from that too, as are Sequitors, who are also Redeemers.
I mean, they're moving into this space that Heywoah and I talked about when we first got into the game, like which is just have wounds count for capturing, And now obviously that's about as arbitrary as anything else, just saying like wounds and how do you write that rule that like the number of wounds this model how does that affect as it's being charted and so on and so forth, right? Like so there's some design lingo you need to put in there, but we always thought that like the way that you help elite versus horde and so on and so forth, and they throttled that mechanism in a different way with reinforcement points and so on and so forth, but to have the wounds really be the thing you're looking at, we thought that might be a decent way to balance it. Now we're seeing this thing where like they count as X, Y, Z amount of models based on whatever, just some other arbitrary extra rule written.
Yeah, which is fine. I mean, like it was the ogre's big trick,
So ogres have some feels bad right now.
I mean, ogres are still, they've got game on the BCR side. The foot dudes have always needed help since the initial publishing of the book.
Mm-hmm.
Not that they're unfun or bad; they're just certainly not as competitive as their larger brethren, right? But with the ogre book, the problem with the ogre book was much the same as what the problem was with Giants in its initial release. And by the way, I still say this for Giants. It was just the most boring incarnation of that book. Like, I'm excited Giants are powerful now.
Mm-hmm.
That's great. It's fun to play Giants, but I still wish they had made some more interesting choices in the design of the book.
Right.
Like, it's easy for us to get wrapped up in like, oh, thing is powerful now, so all is forgiven. It's easy for us to get caught in that trap. Right?
Yeah,
when
good is
no, you still wrote a boring book.
Yeah,
it's the Slaanesh problem. I don't care how good it is. I don't care how good any of the rules end up being. It's a boring book.
Mm. Yeah, I hinged my take on the Slaanesh book on thinking that their points were set for 3.0 already, and when I was wrong, it retroactively made me feel bad about everything.
Sure. Look, we all did.
Like I'm like, man, like I don't mind this rule and I don't mind this rule, and this is kind of cool, and I can see making this work and doing some of this stuff, and like but I had that my springboard into all of the things I believed was that their points were set for 3.0 and everyone was going up 20%, and it because it was everything, and then it wasn't, and I'm just like, well, Slaanesh is just getting punished for the sins of its fathers, or that Battletome is being.
Yeah.
And that
doesn't. As I said on the show, talk to Wild Riders about it. They're still getting punished for the sins of 8th edition.
I don't understand it.
Yeah, in 8th edition, they were one of the greatest units in the game. They were so ungodly powerful, and that was the last time you ever heard about anybody taking Wild Riders. So take that.
I don't know if I can do justice to your thing here and have Vince get a critique on it. Soren's asking for a critique on his Wargog Prophet here. I'm going to make this bigger.
Well, if you can make the picture real big, I'm happy to do so. It's a little small right now.
Blot out the sun. And is it going to focus? Where's my focus point? Right there. Where was it? Sorry. Autofocus is a curse.
Making the square big.
All right. Oh, almost.
Oh, you had it in there for a second.
I know, I did. I had the autofocus of this camera turned off entirely, and it keeps turning itself back on. Let's see if I can get it turned off. Configure. All right, where'd my configuration panel go? There it is. Camera control, focus, auto, off. Never autofocus. Go away. All right. There we go. So now we just need to find our field where it's focused at. We're going to be... sorry about this, everybody. Should be about there. I think this is as good as I'm going to get it with the equipment I have.
Okay. So, yeah, I mean, it's nice. It's very colorful. The colors are relatively well balanced. I like that the green guy is in the middle of the sort of warm, fleshy cape thing, you know, so that's nice. It looks like basically we need to add more depth to some items. So, for example, we're not quite volumetrically highlighted around many areas. So those blues are just the same light, like the blues around the staff, for example, are the same light regardless of their positionality on the staff. Whereas one would expect that there's some kind of light source, and so the blue should be darker on one side. Like when you're painting in bright colors, one of the keys is you still have to respect your volumetric highlighting. So like you need to still create that contrast out of those various spaces. The feathers again look like they need more depth in them to, like, this could just be the camera, but they look like they need a little more depth in them to pull out the individual thingamajiggies, whatever you call them. Whatever somebody has told me this in a video before, and I do not remember what they're called.
Flanges. I'm just making it up.
Well, yeah, phalanges. Yes, there you go. Whatever, sure, those little things, right? The back of it looks really nice. I like that. I like the deep red in the center going out to the lighter. That's really solid. That's excellent. I'm not sure what's going on with his little blade. That's probably the part that I would want to look closer at. I'd need to.
It's hard to. He's actually got a good depth of color on it, and like highlighted.
Yeah, I need
almost looks like water
it's a little
going
small
on
to judge, right?
Yeah.
But I like the color of it. I like how you've balanced everything out. He's very bright and striking, which is good. Yeah, cool stuff.
Yeah.
There you go. There's my feedback.
Oh, there you go. Hey, look at that. I got it. I randomly guessed the right field of that time. I had the whole thing set up for my painting streams or for my hobby streams I intend to start eventually. And it just every time I turn OBS on, it resets the camera every single time.
Sure.
Feather phalange. Yeah, that's right. Thingamajingies. I agree. Yeah, no, these are... Let's see. Well, he's about 8:30 in the future. So perhaps he's went to bed or something, or just a long day. We were talking about Stormcast.
So yeah, I mean, my main hope with Stormcast is that they take the opportunity to make some of those interesting units that are like cool but have never really had a home, and make them interesting. I want to see Dracoth Riders be on the table. I think they're super cool. I want to see
Thundercats.
Prosecutors get on the table. You know, that kind of stuff. Okay.
Advocators on Dracoline.
Sure, yeah, absolutely. I don't really care much for the other two releases. Like, my home is either in the original Warrior Brotherhood or the new Thunderstrike stuff. Those are the two incarnations of Stormcast I like.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really like the Vanguard stuff.
The Paladors and such, right? Like,
yeah, exactly. Like, I with the exception of the Paladors themselves, the little birds are super cool, and I've used them in my Ironjawz army as like replacement pigs.
Mm-hmm.
But most of that stuff is pretty much a whiff to me. And I don't really love the Sacrosanct Chamber either. It's just not my speed.
Mm.
They're like, it's too busy. There's too much junk on them. Like, they just, all the robes and chains and rosaries and bejangles and little bottles at their waist, and it's just like, ugh. These people have too much nonsense going on. Okay.
As someone who loves Final Fantasy, I love the nonsense personally.
Sure.
Not nearly enough belts.
This is my personal aesthetic, nothing more, nothing less, right?
Solid gold dog dropping 1,000 RDP to remind everyone chat gang ain't none to mess with. Thank you so much. So what do you think of Heywoah's take of condensing all the various paladins into just like ass scroll, and what do you think of something like that?
I have zero problem with it. I've said before, if we want books to be really balanced, that's what we need to do, is condense scrolls.
Mm-hmm.
Like I've talked about that many times, that the best way to take a book like Cities and make them actually balanced would be to crack them down crack all of the similar units of troops into one unit, right? So like you have, you can come up with a clever name for them, right? Like they can be like the Great Weapon Reserves or something like that, right? Or whatever.
Right.
Or the Veteran Corps, CORPS, right? Like I don't care. You can call it whatever you want. But this would be like executioners and great swords and hammers and all of those things would all fit, blah 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 into one unit or whatever, right? So I don't have a problem with all the paladins being one thing. They won't do it. Like it's not going to happen. But I wouldn't have any problem with it. It would be fine with me. I think that for the most part, the paladins have always been in a pretty difficult place.
Mm-hmm.
Because
the granularity.
Kind of elite infantry is what they're basically the worst at, because it's one of the worst things in the game.
Mm-hmm.
And they've never seemed to understand that. Like there's sort of a fundamental.
Doesn't matter if it's Bolgors or
right.
Paladins, whatever it is. They just have trouble designing in that space.
Right, and arguably a lot of those are much worse now, because they're now capped at 5. No,
usually on 32s. Like
a lot of them, they're on like 40s or 50s often, right?
Right.
And a lot of them are now in. The curse of the 3-6 is real. Right. The one thing you can defend for like evocators and all the other paladin types, retributors and so on, is that at least they came in 5s.
Right.
Right. So great. But like, the new annihilators are really interesting. Being on like a 2-up save is interesting. It does make them considerably tougher.
32 mils are the worst. Rant me, daddy. How's it going, Tomb King Tristan? Yeah, no, I mean, how do you solve the elite foot troop? Obviously coherency is it's the horse. Sorry, like this is how it is, right? Like we can't deal with that right now. This is the rule. This is going to be the rule conceivably going forward. So we can't fix it with coherency. How do you fix them?
Well, you don't try to use a system-wide change.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So this is war scroll to war scroll. Like just really you
Correct.
got to go and open up the hood under each one of these things and fix them.
Yeah. Like some of them can be fixed partially by having a 2-inch reach. Like why don't Bulgors have a 2-inch reach? Their axe is like massive. The axe is certainly longer than 2 inches, right?
Yeah.
So like the first step is you just give a lot of these things where it's at all sensible 2-inch reaches, because they're big things. Like large things in D&D have a 10-foot reach often, right? Like that's sort of the classic thing. So it's not weird. Like we all get why.
Yeah,
right?
and this goes with the not Richard Garfield, sorry, other gentleman, more active, Magic the Gathering. Mark Rosewater. The Mark Rosewater, like 20 things I've learned from 20 years of Magic the Gathering. If your audience and your fans and your players think a thing should work a certain way, then it should work that way. We understand that big things should have reach, right? Like just universally as nerds, it's just kind of like something that's in our DNA. Big things should reach further, right? Like it's so logical.
That is exactly what Ian is saying in the chat, and it's exactly right. It's like they should have much more attacks and damage. It's not hard. Like almost all elite troops like that can be fixed with math.
Mm-hmm.
Like triple Bulgor's current attacks or something. You know what I mean? Like it should really be that far. Like they should be scary little, because they're not tough. Like none of these elite units are really tough.
Mm-hmm. Oh, so you move them into like the sort of scrapper range of like could probably take a little bit of shooting that you don't want to like. You'd have to commit a little extra shooting to them than you would like for a single squad that puts up that damage. So it's a counter decision that your opponent needs to make. if they get in and they get to strike, they're going to blender people. But the out is easy with your counterplay too. It does damage, right? Like, deal with the thing that deals damage or get hit by it. It's a pretty classic decision to make.
Like, non-flying, high-power, low-toughness ground pounders in Magic are one of the least valuable troop types you can have.
Well, in AOS.
Assuming they don't have trample. Yeah. Right?
Oh,
no,
in Magic. Okay, yeah.
Right? Like, assume no trample, no fly. So they have no form of evasive damage.
Yeah.
Right? A 7/2 is not very scary.
Right.
Right? Because you're going to chump it out. And they've realized this in Magic design. Right? Those things tend to be much cheaper than they would have been back in, like, the 90s.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, exactly.
Because they figured out that who cares? Like, all the power in the world that can get chumped out on a 2-day is irrelevant if they're not evasive, right?
Right.
And so things that are just ground-pounding elite troops that have no what we think of as evasion in Warhammer, i.e. flying or teleport shenanigans or whatever, right? No ward saves, moderate to bad armor saves. That's the equivalent of having that 2 toughness. But, right? So make them hit real hard. Because right now, they're just bigger 2/2s. They're like the opposite of interesting.
Yeah.
You're just overpaying for a big 2/2.
An elite hammer wouldn't go amiss in Slaves to Darkness. I converted a bunch of Chosen and would love them to be good.
Yeah, I mean, Chosen aren't going to be... Well, who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows? I don't know what they want to do with Chosen. It's a weird relic that, like, whatever. I don't know what Chosen even are anymore in the world of what all the new casts of the Iron Wall of Chaos we've created. But sure.
Dr. Darkmatch asks, Vince and Mephisto, is GW being married to the D6 part of the cause of this?
No, it doesn't have to be. It's a constraint, but it's not like, okay, it's just a constraint. We can work around it.
So
no problem.
Of I believe for people who might not be in D6, the swing of a D6 is a little bit different in variance than other dice pools, and so you're limited in some design choices with a D6, and depending on how many you roll, something with a 2, something that's hits on 2s, wounds on 2s, and does 7 damage is still kind of crap if it's one attack, right? Like, it's just
sure.
Anyway, sorry.
Yeah, no, exactly. So, like, yes, it creates a set of constraints, but those are perfectly knowable constraints.
Right.
Right? Like, you can do good stuff with just a D6. It's fine.
Right.
Like, it can be done. We've just chosen not to. Like, they're very afraid of making elite infantry actually hit as hard as they should, and I do not understand why. Like, they've just always thought about these things wrongly. And I don't know how else to say it.
Right. So I'm gonna go get some Pepsi-Milk. Brendan, if you want to hop in and help me co-host this block, that'd be all right, man. I understand if you're busy. Oh, here we go, Emmett.
Oh, Emmett's here.
Got my second COVID vaccine today, and he's feeling crap. He's got to bail. He got his second vaccine today, so he's out. All right. Well.
Oh, that's a shame. Well, I mean, that's a shame he's got to bail. It's good that he got a second vaccine, so good for him.
Yeah. No. It's no big deal, dude.
Emmett, it's a shame, buddy. I don't know if he's watching or if he can hear, but if he does, or he watches this later, it's a shame. I'd love to talk to him at some point in time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, Meph, I'll cover for you, brother. I'll hang out.
All right, you'll hang out? Sounds good. A good bad moment.
Everybody gets 2 more hours of Vince.
So
you know what that means, Meph. What were you giving away this 2-hour block?
We got the model painted by Soren. We've got and we got the Beast Naga box. If you donate 10, it gets you both. So
nice. All right, awesome.
Oh, see, I thought you were about to offer another painted model, so we do 3 draws this block.
Sure, I can do that too. I'll say that.
So those of you who have already donated, cool. But if you haven't donated yet, you hear that the prize pot just got even sweeter for this 2 hours.
There's so many things you can win this hour.
Yes.
I will do another model for all of you.
There you go. Look at that. Gonna make me act up. So there you go. Another model, and I got to go prepare my Pepsi-Milk. So I'm glad you're here for this, Vince. You to see my facial expressions. I'll be right back.
Yeah, I think when I look back on I'll let him go ahead, and I'll just keep talking. When I look back on Stormcast, what chat gang, I want to know. Stormcast is a huge range. So, what is the Stormcast unit that has always been the most disappointing to you? What is the one that you always thought was cool and never got the actual play it deserved? Because there's so many out there. And I want to know what people think. Like, what's people's choices for their favorite that didn't get perhaps the love it should have in the previous books? There's a lot of underserved Stormcast units, I think. So I'm curious as to what other people want. I've mentioned my pet units. Just so everybody knows, this will be this Ratcast army I'm doing is the second Stormcast army I painted back when AOS started. I did a conversion of Brettcast, so it was all Bretonnians who had been redeemed into Stormcast, and I used all Bretonnian heads and Bretonnian bits and stuff like that. I had peasants as my judicators and so on and so forth. And to me, the coolest thing in the whole range was the prosecutors. So I have like 18 painted prosecutors, and they have always been hot liquid garbage, which is unfortunate. So there you go. All right, let's see. What are people voting? Tempesters, Castigators. Tempesters is a cool choice. They did have a moment in the sun because they were part of a couple winning builds there at the end of AOS 1. But yeah, I get it. Sir Flukes, it was nice meeting you in Australia last year too. Liberators or Retributors? Yeah, man, I hope Retributors just like crush face in the new book. I think it'd be awesome to see Retributors come back and just be like absolute beat sticks like we've been talking about. Vanguard Hunters, good pick. And then the Bird Riders, sure. Yep, Prosecutors, right on. That's a man after my own heart there. Paladors again, another cool one. Yep. Paladors, multiple votes for Paladors. Oh, our friend the Star Drake. Yes, there you go. The cool flyer winged dude that looks like Tyrael. Yes, Mr. Mephisto, absolutely. The Celestant Prime. Yep, Castigators. Like, this is the thing. You look at this, and there's obviously this set of units that are just basically bad. Right? And we all have been able to name them, and we know they need attention. So can we please just like make them good now? That would be great. Caleb, hey Caleb, says I might not be super good at stuff, but I'm not sure how to donate. I'm on the app that matters. Is there a separate website that I need to hit up? Yes, there's a little donate button that's down there that you can click, and if you click that donate button, it will take you where you need to go. So it is literally like if you scroll down the Twitch page, there is a big giant button that says donate, and if you go there, some people have said that their phone has been giving them trouble, so you may want to do it on your computer if you can. But there you go. Let's see. All right, cool, good. Okay. Oh, you can also click that link that Incantabot just said. There you go. As this is the second thing I'll be giving away to paint something this hour, since we're going for round 2 of me painting someone for somebody, you may have to wait a little longer. I'll warn you right now, based on my schedule and when I am able to fit it in. So I'll warn you of that in advance. But what I will say is that this last 2-hour block we did the $6 donations from Slanesh. I'd love to see some $13 donations this hour or this 2-hour block in honor of Skaven. So, and I saw a lot of people donating here. Kalinin 42 giving 15. That's awesome. Yep. Dan at 10. Fantastic. Wife of of Kicker at 12, and the Philosopher X at 10. Awesome, folks. Oh, the Pepsi-Milk has been prepared. Oh, he's leaving again. There you go. Ironically, I need to go get myself a drink too. I brought enough beverage for a 2-hour rant. I did not bring enough for a 4-hour rant. So when he gets back to drink his Pepsi-Milk, I'm going to walk away for a minute. But I'll be right back. Yeah, so that's what I'm hoping out of the Stormcast book, right? Like, I'd just like to see it be these units that we all know need love and attention, get that love and attention. Because it's such a cool range. And there's so much just cool figs in it. And I hope we don't just end up in a only the new stuff is good situation. I honestly don't think we will. That's not what I've been hearing, but I mean, I don't know. We'll see. But I think that the whole range is awesome, and I think it's a good introduction to. It'd be a really great thing if people had reason to haul out all their old Stormcast and start adding some of the new stuff to it as well. Like, give people a reason to haul that flagship army back out. It's your main force, and it's a great force. And the presence of it as real heroes is what makes one of the things that makes AOS great. So there you go. Lord Whaley says you got to run. Hey, absolutely. There you go. Okay. I'll wait for Meph to talk about the Cruel Boys, and instead, we will sneak in some more Skaven chat. So as I mentioned, I'm real excited about 60 clan rats. But the other thing I'm very excited about with Skaven is and some people were quite upset about this. And look, I get it, but is the change to giant rats. So giant rats, back in 8th edition, you used to have what you called rat darts, which were little packs of 6 rats. And then when we went over to AOS and they gave them rules, then you bought the rats in units of 10, and you just had like big hordes of giant rats around. And I get some people made tons and tons of giant rats. I'm not super like lamenting your loss of that as a thing now if you have a bunch of extra giant rats, because I mean they do come basically free in all the boxes, and they take like 8 seconds to paint a giant rat, so it's not like we're invalidating stuff. Something that people spend a lot of time on here. But I'm excited about packs of 6 rats for 40 points being another option in the Skaven force. I think that is an awesome thing. Perfect if for getting in and stopping people unleashing hell. Now it can't fly, so it's not as good as some other things could be, but it's still really great, assuming that they don't properly chaff off their stuff. It also just gives you a good, it's a great chaff unit. Just gonna sit there in a little 4 wide by 2. So I'm all about it.
All right, so I have to do this fluffy bunny thing, everybody. I've got 2 versions of marshmallows. I've got the regular bigs. Now I'm quiet. I shouldn't be that quiet. Big quiet. Oh, I see. And then I've got the jumbos. I will tell you right now, I can probably only fit like 1 jumbo, and I do not. Despite my metaphoric big mouth, I don't have like a literal big mouth.
You've got to do the jumbos, and I want to see you shove a lot more than.
I got to do the jumbos. Jumbo. All right. We'll put the jumbos off to the side, and then we also hit the threshold for Pepsi-Milk. I've got this can of mango. So I usually the only soda I really ever drink is Baja Blast. Like I don't really drink.
You're going to use mango Pepsi for this.
So I've got the mango.
That is horrifying.
So we had last year we did I did regular, so I had to up the ante this year. So I actually did see the future when I drank the Pepsi-Milk last year.
Sure.
So I who knows what's going to happen to me this time adding the mango in there. So oops, didn't mean to do that.
Yeah. It's just me now. I'm hosting this thing for the next 30 hours.
Look at me, I'm the captain.
Your camera
now.
turned off, of course, by the way.
Yeah, I know. All right, there we go. I gotta send. We're gonna have Ian's gonna join, and the dream team for me is gonna join, and you're both gonna be on for a overlapping period in time to talk about sort of like back to basics Age of Sigmar, which I think is awesome. So I will actually go to the future this time. This sounds horrendous, actually.
It truly does. It truly does. I mean, what you are consuming right now sounds like a nightmare. Here's a fun thing, Meph, while you're preparing your drink.
Yeah.
So in my fridge down here in the basement that I keep for everybody else when they come over and play D&D, they play D&D every week. I keep what I call punishment drinks. Punishment drinks are really horrible tasting drinks that if we ever TPK, everybody has to drink.
Okay.
Including the GM.
I like this.
Okay.
I like this.
So it's a shared punishment for everybody.
Uh-huh.
And for a long time, it was Diet Vernors as the punishment drink because Diet Vernors taste like battery acid. And it's horrible. And if you like Diet Vernors, which I know immediately as I say this on air, I'm going to get the Diet Vernors supporters
yeah,
up in the chat.
All the honks are just going to show up. And
yeah, they're like, we're Diet Vernors. It's amazing. And I'm like, okay, well, it tastes like battery acid. So anyways, so that was it for a long time. But then I had a weird friend who actually liked Diet Vernors and slowly drank me out of it. Okay. So now it's some kind of weird, horrible black cherry thing that tastes like if you've ever tasted the liquid that's in the maraschino cherries at a bar, that's basically what it tastes like. All right. So this is way more horrible than anything I've ever kept as a punishment drink, what you're about to do to yourself.
You think so?
That's all I'm saying. Yes.